attention, nigga, this is a bloodbath. I will throw my commandments down on your platinum calf. You get your face slashed like a Rikers Island reminder. Behind your snipers and find you, whether you run to China or try to crawl the fuck back in your mother's vagina. To murder gangsta, underground niggas like coal miners. Bring it back, paying homage to the old timers. I was predators and cannibal, glow stickers and pictures of people, fucking animals. Like a car crash, ripped in half, neck to the crotch. Motherfuckers scared to stare, but they secretly watch. You niggas wanna play Shaitan? Well, let's get it on. I fire missiles like the fucking shit that hit the Pentagon. You not strong enough to do a song with me, I'm the truth. Like Tina Turner, motherfucker, you'll get raped in a booth. Nigga, remember, I'll slice you and squeeze lemon on the place that I chop you. Calmly to the tune of Mozart's Masonic opera. Nigga, statue of Bruce Lee is the teacher that taught me. I spit a toothpick through the heart of a bird in a tree. I charge your feet. I don't murder motherfuckers for free. And like a person with AIDS, you'll regret fucking with me. The Source Awards and make strings for a fucking guitar with your vocal cords. Colossus next to Africa, shoulder to shoulder. Let it fire on devils like Cubans in Angola. Not even the southern polar is colder. And zero Kelvin decrees that'll freeze you over. My soldier's soul is older than Chichen Itza. But this Glock that I stole from my cops will be happy to meet you. In the 21st century state that was meant to be. This is a global Attica, cause the planet's a penitentiary. Remember that revolution is destiny. Toasted with Hennessy. Open your heavenly mind like Shannon Kennedy. Your favorite rapper. Your favorite rapper. He might make more cheddar than me, but I'll have to die to be considered better than me. Diamonds are ripped for the earth, right next to the slave castles where the water is cursed. From where police brutality's not half as nice. It makes the hood in America look like paradise. Compared to the AIDS-infested Caribbean slum, African streets with a passport and American gun. I'm from where they massacre people and try to keep it quiet. And spend the next 25 years trying to deny it. I'm from where they chop your hands off if you make a fist. And niggas don't conquer, cause the job market doesn't exist. Except slave labor, modern day company store. And peacekeepers don't ever come here no more. I'm from where the bombs that they used to drop on Vietnam still has children born deformed 8 months before they're gone. I'm from where they lost true meaning of the Quran. Cause heroin is not compatible with Islam. And niggas know that, they grow that poppy seed anyway. Cause that food drop parachute does not come every day. I'm from where people pray to the gods of their conquerors. And practically every president's a money launderer. From where the only place democracy's acceptable is if America's candidate is electable. And they might even have a black or brown president, but he's useless, cause he does not control the economy, stupid. Like your gun where I'm from, the third world, son. I just thought I'd remind y'all, I'm from where the Catholic Church is some racist shit. They help Europe and America race this bitch. They create a white Spanish Jesus. Whose face is this? But never spoke about the black populations. I'm from where Soviet weapons still decide elections. Militaries like the mafia, you pay for protection. Catamite sex charges with the country sells. And rich white businessmen make their best clientele. I'm from where they too pussy to come film Survivor. And they murder Coca-Cola union organizers. I'm from where the justice system is stop podrido. Fuck back the government, niggas politic over Perico. Rebelde conocido, enterrado vivo. Como otro argentino desaparecido. The Rico Lords gonna buy to the CIA. And motherfuckers make sneakers for a quarter a day. I'm from where they overthrow democratic leaders. Not for the people, but for the Wall Street Journal readers. Nos compraron el alma barata, hasta la sangre nos sacan. Lo hicieron con rap y ahora reggaetón y bachata. Pero primero me matan. primero me matan, olvídate de huelga. Armado, me voy para la selva. Mejor que desaparecido y muerto, enterrado debajo de un aeropuerto. And if you think that's conspiracy hysteria, acuérdate of the School of Americas y pregúntate quién mueve más cocaína, la guerrilla o los militares con la CIA. Que no dan trabajo, tratan a la gente latina como esclavos and kickback money to latinos presidentes, fake motherfuckers que hablan inocentes, putos de cáncer que comen a gente. Es hora de revolución nuevamente. Make some fucking noise. Testing. Hi yo. This is RTTI in New York City, alongside Nappy Head Roots and Nigel Nicholson in the building. Today, we're just gonna go into some freestyle stuff right now. Wanted to start off with Nappy, being that he always gets cut off at the end by these people, man. They either mute his mic or they do something to throw him off the call. So I'm just trying to make sure he gets his documentation in, as well as anything else he'd like to add. Yo, Nappy, what's up, man? What's good? How you feeling out there? What's the latest with you, man?
Shit, man. I'm alright. I'm hanging in there, man. A lot of fucking police harassment, ambulance harassment, like regular harassment, just and stuff, secret, like secret and stuff. Pretty much everybody, there's a lot of people out there that want to fucking try and keep on targeted individuals and shit. So now what I've done is I've fucking started, before the shit even happens, like I narrate the fucking shit, tell people what's gonna happen before it fucking happens. See what their fucking, reason for it being crazy. It's really like either we're telling the truth or we're psychic or some type of trick or some shit. So now that's what I'm trying to do, is point the shit out. If that shit works.
I hear that, man.
I hear that, man. I feel you on that, Nap. I understand, man. Yo, I've seen like your latest videos and whatnot, man. You had one that you put up, man, and you were pretty much showing how they've been hitting your van with scratches and all types of other vandalism, like little, scrapes and little dents and shit like that. You try to put stickers up to try to cover that up, man, so it don't look fucked up and ugly and shit like that. And these motherfuckers are still doing the same thing, pretty much. Like you had said also, the one that you mentioned just now, I've seen that you had recorded that right after the situation happened. It would have been ideal to capture that footage as it was happening in real time, but trust me, I understand sometimes we don't have the time to react and to think. We just, we're going through the motions and shit as TIs, and then afterwards we're like, damn, would have been good to get that out, video. But regardless, you know what I'm saying, we already know you're credible. It's not like you're not. We know that if you're saying something, it's for a reason and it's 100% fact. We just gotta look at all your videos, and people who doubt them, check them out and you'll see for yourself how all his shit is legitimate. Regardless of how it makes us sound, like we're nuts or crazy or all this shit is a conspiracy. It's not, man. really not. It's a conspiracy fact. You know what I mean? So what I'm gonna do, Nap, is I'm gonna add those videos within this description box, just to get more people to check your stuff out so they can see for themselves.
Yes, definitely, bro. Yeah.
Yo, so man, what was going on with these cops, man? Like, what was it that you said they set it up? Like, how did you come across figuring that out? I mean, I know how, but if you don't break it down.
What it is they like to send people to walk in the middle of the street real slow while I'm progressing in my driving and shit. So it might be a great they'll send somebody in the intersection while I'm in the intersection, and that person will fucking slow me down and fucking make it to where I'm stuck in the middle of the intersection. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm stuck in a speed light camera, it's gonna take a picture of me, and it's gonna look like I'm fucking running a red light. I do that a lot. So now, I'm not. Usually, I would hit the brakes real fast and do some. That's good tear on the vehicle for one. And then on top of that, I'm waiting at the light, and then that's kind of fucking shocking me at the same time. You feel me, having to fucking be like, damn, I almost hit that motherfucker or some shit like that. So now I just drive I'm not putting myself, my property, and nothing in jeopardy. So now I just fucking, I drive. So if the person walks in the middle of the street, then that person's just gonna get hit there because, unless I'm far away. If I'm far away and I can stop, then I'm gonna stop and fucking let them do what they do. But I'm not getting stuck in the middle of the intersection or no shit because the police are trying to, set me up for some bullshit. But anyway, so the dude, I had to know, he walked in the middle of the street and I seen what he was doing. So I stopped, and he was dangling all around my van and shit. He was fucking, he was in the middle of the street, but, he was working all around the middle of the fucking street. He was hanging out in the middle of the fucking street. And as I'm getting closer and closer, he doesn't cross the street, but he's walking towards me, and then he starts hanging around the front of my van and shit, playing crazy. So I get out and I try to, I confront him, I push him and shit, and tell him to get out the way. And I leave. I tell him, this shit, you guys are doing some illegal shit, man. And, I can't take no fucking pictures and shit because you guys want to be acting stupid. So I push him out the way, and then, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 minutes later, there's 2 police that are driving behind me and shit, and the fucking dude does the same fucking shit again. He does the same shit again, so it's he told him that I confronted him. Of course, I knew he was going to do that. He told him that I confronted him and did what I did, and fucking, he came back with protection and did the same fucking shit. And once the police seen that he did that and he was able to complete his mission and make me miss the light, they took off and went about their work.
Right. Nappy, so you said also that before all that was taking place, before all that even started to happen, you noticed that the police was trailing you, right?
Right. And I pulled over and let them get in front of me.
Right. And all that shit was synchronized, right?
Yeah, everything was synchronized, bro. Everything was, synchronized, and they set that shit up, and it all happened, in good timing.
Right. That goes to show people who are listening in, this is when they're using the technology to do stuff like that with precision, accuracy like that. You know, people can't just do stuff like that so perfectly and execute that shit in the perfect timing type of mode. You know what I mean? That's the technology right there. You know what I mean? It goes to show, man, when people aren't aware of these things, you would swear like, oh, wow, you know, this is like magic or this is like coincidental. That's like a big one. Coincidental. When you become a TI and you go through these things, personal.
I don't think it's just technology, though. I think it's them setting this shit up and planning this shit out. I feel like I know technology is involved, but they're fucking spitting this shit out on me, man.
Absolutely. No doubt. It's planned and it's also the technology. It goes hand in hand. They do that with the technology's help, like the assistance of it, but they definitely plan that shit out without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Because they have already learned your patterns and stuff like that, where you go, what you do. So they set those things up in that manner. So what I'm saying is that the technology, with the accuracy that they execute the shit with synchronization, that's what I was talking about. You know what I mean? So that shit right there is ill. Like when I didn't know about that shit and I had no idea about that shit, I swore up and down that was some more paranormal shit. I thought it was like on some spiritual type of weird shit going on. Twilight Zone type shit. But that's what I'm trying to say, that people who are listening in understand that this shit exists. You know what I'm saying? It's also what Nappy said. It's planned. You know, it goes hand in hand. It's a combination of the two. After a while, you know, once they learn your pattern, of course, they can set things up, you know, and they can have them, you know, watch you and follow you around, and they'll give each other the notifications via text or however they go about doing it, like, oh, he's on his way. And then they'll start, like, sending Unit A, Unit B, Unit C, Unit D, Unit E, you know, and so forth and so on. Be alert, he's on his way. He's heading towards, you know, for lack of a better term, I'm just naming streets. He's crossing, you know, Santa Cruz Boulevard right now. He's heading north on the highway. Get Unit C ready. You know what I mean? That type of shit. You know what I mean? So this shit is real, man. You know, people need to understand and do their research on this technology and this program. And the police are very heavily involved in orchestrating this shit. Make no mistake of that. I mean, yo, Nab, so what I wanted to ask you was, once you peep that, because you already know and you have the experience, man, of going through this shit before. This ain't new to you, as far as people jumping in the way on purpose while you're driving in front of you and shit. Like, in this situation, what was different?
Nothing really different. It's just, you know, I just finally had enough of like the friend as a person. They do it all the fucking time. I guess the difference is like, because I confronted him, he had his fucking protection with him, the police, you know, the police came back with him to make sure he accomplished whatever it is they wanted him to accomplish, which is making him live for life.
Right.
Any other time when I fucking, you know, just dealt with it, you know, everything's fine and dandy and shit. When I'm just filming and recording and shit. But that's just another telltale sign that the police are involved in shit once they start fucking coming and, you know, protecting their flocks and shit.
Right. So after the police, you know, were there, right, and you witnessed them on your side view mirror, on your rear view mirror, and you peeped them trailing you from beforehand, you already had an idea that something was getting ready to go down, right?
When I saw them trailing you?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice them fucking. I didn't even notice them trailing me until I saw that dude. Come on, man, don't come over here playing, bro. Fucking, you know, I didn't even notice the fucking police until I seen that dude. And when I seen him again, I wasn't necessarily looking for the police. I was looking for one of the handlers and shit, because I knew they were trying to set me up. So I was looking for one of the fucking handlers, and behind me was fucking two fucking police SUVs and shit. So I fucking, you know, one kid did his bullshit and made me miss the light and shit. You know, they were slowly trailing me and shit, and I pulled over and let them get in front of me. And so I could, you know, get the number of his vehicle. And that's what I do most of the time when police get behind me and shit, because I want to be able to have my hands ready and my fucking ID and everything ready, so they don't try and do some bullshit if I fucking get some type of topical stuff for doing what they did. So I try to have everything ready before, you know, before they even get to me and shit. So I kind of, I'll pull over when I notice them and back in them. Once I get everything I need, then I'll pull over. So, anyways, I had this time I just pulled over for the fucking, you know, the number on their vehicle.
Yeah, it's 3308, right?
Yes, 3008, yes. And this is like 4:40 or 4:40 in the morning. The incident had happened probably like 20 minutes before that. So, you know, it's just all their fucking entrapment bullshit. And this is like, you know, this is not even, man, they do so much. They have people come up to my van and shit. For instance, this morning, they had this dude come to my fucking van, bend over, you know, he came to the van asking what time it was. I told him I didn't know. He bent over right next to my van, picked something up like a pebble off the ground and started looking at his hand and shit. And, you know, I looked around to see if anybody was recording that shit. I didn't see anybody, but most likely there was somebody recording, and it looked like maybe I was telling him drugs and shit. But, you know, they'll definitely have to see the video so they can see I didn't do anything. But that's the type of shit they do, man.
Right.
Thank you.
Yo, man, let me ask you this, man, if you don't mind. Can you detail to the listeners how is it that they go about setting you up? Like, what would be the purpose of them doing that so people can understand how it is that they're trying to set you up?
They're trying to get me to get in a fight with one of these motherfuckers. They're trying to get you locked up. You know, once they get you locked up, it's pretty much, you know, you're gonna have to survive in there. And, you know, I'm not gonna be able to. I know I can't go to no main line, and I'm not going to no PC. That's for sure. So, you know, you're gonna get into all types of trouble in there with fights and all types of bullshit. And they just want you in the system, man. They want you stuck in the system. Like, I mean, it's not that, you know, I'm not scared to go to the main line or anything, but, like, I'm already knowing, like, as soon as I get there, that's where I go. Whenever I go to get locked up, bro, that's where I go, to the main line. So I already know how they do certain people and shit. And the rumors, the police is giving these rumors, and they're sending people in, and there's rumors and shit. And, yo, it's very deceitful inside of those places. Like, those people will, I mean, you know, Congress will pretend like they're your friends, you know, and fucking, you know, so to give you a fucking hug and throw a knife in your back, slice their face, slice their fucking throat. And it's not right being a targeted individual. You're gonna be up against like one person. It's one thing. It's just mutual combat. But when you're dealing with a whole fucking dorm of fucking people and you don't know what type of rumors that they're putting on you, it's bad enough when you gotta be in there on some, you know, regular shit sleeping with one eye open. This is a whole different level of fucking doing time. So I'll definitely have to do something to fucking get myself locked up into solitary confinement. And who knows what they'll do to me inside of there, so it's some fucked up shit, man.
Yeah, man, most definitely is some fucked up shit, man. I already know what time it is, what you're saying. I know what you're talking about, that. Oh, man, yo, keep hanging in there. Stay strong, man, for sure, like always, man. And just know that we're going to get through this one way or another, man. You know what I mean? Because we at least are aware of what's going on, as opposed to not being aware at all and being a sitting duck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yo, Nap, if you have anything else that you'd like to add, man, feel free to do so.
Everybody keep your heads up out there, man. That's who's weird of, man. And if you don't believe that this shit is real, man, you need to fucking educate yourself. It's gonna happen to you or one of your family members, guaranteed. One of these days, if this is going on right now, it's gonna hit home, and then it's gonna be too late to say anything about it. Like the people who aren't going through it right now, the people who aren't going through this shit are like the most important people to the shit. When they say something, like they can say something about it, like the people going through it, like we've already been marked pretty much. But the ones that aren't going through it, like you need to educate yourself to see what's coming. Because it's already here, but it's gonna be a lot stronger than what it is.
Absolutely. No question about that, man. And with that being said, I'd like to appreciate you in that input. Definitely have to start continuing to do that from now on. Put you on first, man, because they be hacking your phone, messing with the mic and muting your shit, and then knocking you off the call, and then you be like, yo, Nappy, and they act like it's there because the display shows you like you're there. Then you're not. So I think from now on, like I told you, and I mentioned it to the squad, I don't know if they remember or if I even told them directly, but now I'm just going to make it official where Nappy is going to be speaking first from now on, just to make sure he gets his stuff in, because he's in need of putting stuff in documentation. And what they try to cleverly do is sabotage that from happening at times by having him be at the end and it doesn't work out or what have you. So that's the way I circumvented that. With that being said, I'd like to welcome Night of Thunder. He's in the building. Nigel Nicholson is in the building. He got the next segment. Nigel, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Yo, whenever you're ready, brother.
I gotta get to a quiet place, you know what I'm saying?
All right, not a problem. I appreciate you for that, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be man, I mean, Nappy is absolutely correct. These people, they do try to set you up. You know what I'm saying? And if they haven't, and the fact that they haven't succeeded thus far in terms of the total setup, and so we always got to be on the lookout because they always will try to send somebody to try to start some shit with you. You know what I'm saying? And like I was telling this dude last night, on my way home, I was telling him, I said, listen, man, this shit is coming out the pipeline. And I said, when people who didn't believe us, who didn't believe me, I was like, if they come knocking at my door, they're going to take a big middle finger. And they'll tell them, do what I did. Go and do some research. I'm not helping them in no way. No how. They can figure that shit out themselves. You put enough information out there, and if they don't want to go looking, then they say that's too bad for them. You know what I'm saying? Because they get to that point where they get tired, and you get tired of going through that shit. You're constantly on the defensive. You're constantly on the defensive. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll try to slow shit down with the targeting, and so that they think that you're gonna build some. They try to build a false sense of confidence within you, right? To excuse the fact or to make it seem like what they have done to us happened physically. You know what I'm saying? As well as neurologically, you know?
Yo, pardon me, Nigel. Nappy, do me a solid, brother, and mute your background because the background noise from the where you are is coming out the background. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you, man. Nigel, go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, let me just a few, about my talk, just a few mention, you know, what they've been doing. You know, they've been using the police a lot lately, even today, you know, on my way with my van. And I get to the second bus stop, there's a police car parked up in the bus stop across the street. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay. You know, and then there were like tons of police along the bus route, you know. So I was like, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I got a couple of videos with them targeting me. I put the shit up, and they stopped targeting me for like, you know, a couple of days. Then they're back on that shit again because again, you know, they will always adjust and readjust. You know, have their contingency for my contingency, and back and forth and back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're constantly, you know, trying to defend yourself against these people. You know what I'm saying? And so when I go on the offensive, that's when I would start recording all this shit. I don't record every damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Put that shit up there, and then they fall back. But they keep coming. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, for us, it's because we're so separated that it's, you know, it's like, you know, it's like one person against 500. You know what I'm saying? Like every single day, placed along your path. You know? All to, you know, subjugate you to this psychological torture campaign, the psychological warfare they engage in, and then hit you with the direct energy weapons, the remote neural monitoring. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we just got to keep grinding, you know, no matter what. Got to keep grinding, exposing the shit, put it out there, you know. At least we, like Nappy said, at least, you know, we know what they're trying to do. You know, like, you know, in the beginning when you're kind of like blinded because you don't know, you fall into traps. You don't even know that you're being basically mind controlled with these technologies. All right? And this is going to lead into the segment of the night, right? So one of the documents that I got from the CIA website called The Invisible Third World War. And in there, the author mentioned a book called Operation Mind Control. So, you know, I just got to do my research and try to find the book. I went online, went to Amazon. They had it hard copy, but it didn't have the Kindle version. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can get it online for free. And so I do a Google search, and I was able to get the PDF of the book, and so I downloaded it. And I sent RT the you know, just the first chapter, the opening of the first chapter. Okay, so the book is by Walter Woodward. It's called The CIA Plot Against America. Operation Mind Control. Okay? Now, I'm going to read the first page, and I'm going to read a couple pages from a few of the chapters, because it is a pretty long book, so we're not going to get into, so I'm probably going to do like maybe like a half an hour, 40-minute segment on this. But in the very first chapter, let me get this, I'm using my phone, and so the very first chapter, chapter 1, Scriptorian candidate. It may have been the biggest story since the atom bomb. The headline, however, was small and ignored the large issue. Drug test by, before I begin, this book was written in, let's see here. This book was written in, date on this thing.
All right. All right. So this book was written, was published. I'm sorry, it was published in 1978. Okay. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. I mean, even though we've talked about these things, but just keep that in mind. We are in 2020. Okay. So 2020. So this book was written in 1978. Okay. What the author of this book was researching, and he's going to say it himself. So I want you to remember from 1978 to 2020. Keep that in mind. All right? Yeah, let's get back to chapter 1. So, however, this was small and ignored the large issue. Drug tests by CIA held more extensive than reported in 1975. The New York Times on July 16, 1977. What it should have said is, U.S. developed invisible weapons to enslave mankind. Okay, I'll read that again. He said, what it should, so the New York Times said drug testing held by CIA held more extensive than reported. It's from the New York Times. The author said what it should have said is that U.S. developed invisible weapons to enslave mankind. The testing of drugs by the CIA was just a part of the United States government top secret mind control project. A project which had spanned 35 years. All right, so let's put that into context. So how many years from 1978 till 2020? Okay, so we're talking about what, 40-something years? Right, about 40-something years, right? So, and then on top of that, add 34 years on top of it. Okay? We're talking about damn near almost 80 years. I'm sorry, yeah, about 70 years. 70-something years. Okay? That's a long time. That is a very long time. So, the top secret mind control project, which had spanned 35 years and had involved tens of thousands, okay? Tens of thousands of individuals. It involved techniques of hypnosis, hypnosis, electronic brain stimulation, behavioral effects of ultrasonic, microwave, and low-frequency sound, aversive and other behavior modification therapies. In fact, there was virtually no aspect of human behavior control that was not explored in their search for the means to control the memory and will of both individuals and whole masses of people. The CIA succeeded in developing a whole range of psycho weapons to expand its already autonomous psychological warfare arsenal. With these capabilities, it was now possible to wage a new kind of war, a war which would take place invisibly, okay, upon the battlefield of the human mind. Now, RT has the link to the site. It's a library site. It's an educational site that has the book that you can read online. I couldn't put the link to the PDF because I was doing it on my phone, and so I'll try to get the link to this exact PDF and I probably have to do it through email and then copy from my phone and then send it to him. But I will also do that. Okay, but understand this. This is in 1978. Right? For 35 years, they have been developing these weapons up until 1978. This is how advanced they were. Okay? This is how advanced they were in 1978. That they have already developed these weapons. We as TIs to date, I believe, are in a better position to try and expose this even more. Okay? And I said, and I'm not going to say to try and expose it, I'm going to say to try and expose it even more, because people have been trying to expose this thing since the beginning of the 1990s. Okay? And so they never had this type of information. This book was probably never really even be published, because again, the CIA, they do their thing where they pay national security to prevent books or newspaper articles from being, released, right? We've seen this, okay? So, and again, right? A new kind of war is now possible. A war which would take place invisibly upon the battlefield of the human mind. Okay? Literature always anticipates life. Oscar Wilde said, "It does not copy it, but molds it with purpose." By Wilde's definition, then, Richard Calder, the Manchurian Candidate, is literature. Calder published his tour de force in 1958. It was the story of an American Army sergeant who was captured by an enemy during the Korean conflict, and in an improbable 9 days was programmed to murder on cue. The sergeant returned to the United States and was post-hypnotically triggered to kill by the sight of the Queen of Diamonds in a deck of cards. The sergeant automatically killed several people, among them the candidate for president of the United States. After he killed, his memory of the event was forever sealed by amnesia. At the time the Manchurian Candidate was published, few people in the world, Richard Calder included, knew that total control of the mind was possible. Remember now, this is in 1958, right? And they already had control of human minds. Okay? Calder was writing fiction. He had merely read upon a popular Pavlovian conditioning manual and imagined the rest. He had no way of knowing then that mind control had already been the subject of 18 years of secret research within the clandestine agency of the U.S. government. The tricks of mind control he described were later employed right down to the Queen of Diamond Q by the programmers of real political assassins who developed foolproof techniques for controlling the thoughts, memory, emotions, and behavior. The Manchurian Candidate brought the idea of brainwashing the public consciousness. Brainwashing is the use of isolation, deprivation, torture, and indoctrination to break the human will. But what the book actually described was something more than brainwashing. It was mind control. A total takeover of an individual mind by someone else. The someone else in Calder's version was a mad Chinese psychoscientist. Always the satirist. Calder brought the human truth myth up to date. But ironically, the technique he described were first perfected and used not by the Chinese or the Communist Party, but by the United States. Holden's portrait of POW in the Korean conflict went against what acceptable scientific and medical opinion of the time, which held that a man could not be made to commit a criminal act against his own will or inner moral code by any known means. Although Holden's book was not completely on target about the details of GI mind control, he did accurately describe some of the motives, recursive methodology, and psychological results in real-life mind control. The psychological techniques described in the Manchurian Candidate were to become a reality less than a decade after Holden saw his story set in type. As if Holden's fiction had been used as a blueprint, a group of hypno-programmed zombies were created. Some were assassins prepared to kill on cue. Others were informers made to remember minute details on hypnosis, minute details on hypnosis. Couriers carried illegal messages inside the brain of command. Oh, sorry about that. I'm reading from my phone, so it's a little bit kind of difficult. All right, so let's go back here. Couriers carry illegal messages outside the chain of command. Their secrets secured behind post-hypnotic blocks. Knowledge of secret information was removed from the minds of those who no longer had the need to know. They were given post-hypnotic amnesia. The ordinary foot soldier who fought in the dirty, televised Vietnam conflict were released to civilian life without debriefing. For them, there was no decompression from the rage of war. They were released with all the reflexes of trained assassins intact. Those who had conditioned in the black science of the war of torture, terror, and technology were debriefed with special attention. Their memories were so completely erased before they were turned out of the military that they returned to civilian life with only a minimum fragmented knowledge of who they were and what they had done. The rest of their memory had been smudged or removed by drugs, hypnosis, behavior modification, conditioned reflex therapy, or some other evil wonder of the mind control. I encountered my first case of mind control in the midst of the Watergate scandal. A young man I've known since childhood had returned from a tour of duty in the U.S. Air Force with amnesia, remembering nothing of his service years except having had a good time. He subsequently learned through intensive private psychotherapy that he had been hypnotized and conditioned. His mind had been unmade, then remade. His mind had been controlled. I was completely fascinated by his story. But naturally, in 1973, I thought it was an isolated single event. Then, quite by accident, a few months later, I overheard another man in my hometown telling what was essentially the same story. How he figured he'd been hypnotized and had his memory erased at the debriefing prior to his separation from military service. After hearing the second story, I began to wonder how many more men had their memories erased. I decided to run the following classified ad. Researcher, writer, interested in contacting anyone with knowledge of the use of hypnosis by the military, including ex-servicemen who have reason to believe they were hypnotized or drugged. while in the service or subsequent exhibited signs of amnesia or hypermnesia, including, improved memory, all info held in strictest confidence. I placed an ad in Soldiers of Fortune, the magazine which reports on the activities of mercenaries. A number of small publications aimed at hypnosis, behaviorists, neurologists, other professionals, and popular magazines such as Rolling Stone. To my amazement, I received more than 100 replies to the ad. Many state there has been amnesia. Ignoring the obvious crank letters, follow up on the others and discovered that many men were unable to say just what had occurred or caused their loss of memory. In some cases, it was obvious the result of trauma of war, what came to be called post-Vietnam syndrome. So I was concentrated on those who have not seen combat, but who either had high security clearances or were employed at the periphery of the intelligence services. Letter and telephone exchange narrowed the field down to 18 persons who fit the pattern of the first two men who had reported their amnesia to me. All 18 had security clearances and could only recall isolated events from the GI experience, and narrowed the field still further to those who remembered enough to have at least some idea, however fragmentary and incomplete, of what had happened to them. Their stories were believable. Okay, this is important. That's why we as TIs have to keep telling our story. All right? Eventually, someone's gonna listen, watch our videos, and say, you know what? I believe these individuals. Okay? So, their stories were believable, but they shed little light on how amnesia has been induced and what behavior had been controlled. To answer those deeper questions, I went to the library. And after 2 years of research, I was able to find enough scientific reports and government documents to tell the whole story of what I call Operation Mind Control. Though the document's trail of mind control extends back many decades, it was not always called by the same name. The church and the state have always engaged in psychotherapy and psychopolitics. The psychological manipulation of debrief, opinions, and action for political and/or religious ends. But the complete control of the human mind was only managed in the late 1940s. Therefore, my research is concentrated on the period from 1938 to the present, the period during which I found there was an effort made by the agencies of the U.S. government to develop sophisticated techniques of psychopolitics and mind control. The objective of Operation Mind Control during this period has been to take human beings, both citizens of the United States and citizens of friendly and unfriendly nations, and transform them into unthinking, subconsciously programmed zombies, motivated without their knowledge and against their will to perform in a variety of ways in which they would not otherwise willingly perform. This is accomplished through the use of various techniques called by various names, including brainwashing, thought reform, behavior modification. These words are not new. You know, behavior modification, this is not new. Okay? So, you know, all these things they had in the pipe. Brainwashing, the same thing as behavior modification. Okay? Same thing as hypnosis. And conditioned reflex therapy. For the purpose of this book, the term mind control will be used to describe these techniques generically. Mind control is the most terrible, unimaginable crime because it is committed not against the body, but against the mind and the soul. Dr. Juice A.M. Merlo expressed the attitude of the majority of psychologists in calling it mind raped. Now, where have we heard this before? We've always used this terminology to describe what's happened to us. Or the raping of the mind. There's actually a book called The Raping of the Mind. Okay? And warns that it poses a great danger of destruction of the spirit, which could be compared to the threat of total physical destruction. Development of mind control was accomplished largely through the efforts of individual psychologists, psychiatrists, and chemists working in isolated condition under government contract. Each researcher or research team was allowed to know only what he or she needed to know to accomplish his or her fragment of the research or testing. The contracts were left through a number of government and private agencies and foundations so that the researchers were, and by large, ignorant as to the intended use of their research. While the CIA was a major funder of the mind control research, virtually every major government agency became in some way knowingly or unwittingly involved. While I began my research believing that a cult of intelligence was behind the mind control program, I found that there is, in fact, no single originated force, but several. The operation is too widespread and complex for it to be created by a cult. If a cult there must be, then it is a cult. Within a cult, in an interlocking chain of invisible mini-governments with unwritten rules, unwritten plans, and unwritten loyalties. What I call a cryptocracy, which conspires against our laws and our freedom. Cryptocracy is a compound of crypto, meaning secret, and cracy, meaning rule, government body. The cryptocracy then is the secret government whose identity and whereabouts have slowly and reluctantly been hinted at by the Congress through its investigation into Watergate, the CIA, and the rest of the intelligence community. While the CIA, near the top of the intelligence pyramid, has been drawing most of the fire, the evidence of the cryptocracy clearly implicates the National Security Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and its subsidiaries, military, intelligence, as well as civil service. The alliance extends even more amongst private contractors and institutions and religious organizations. Okay? We getting the picture here? With intelligence agencies in the vanguard, the cryptocracy is composed of persons operating within the Office of Naval Intelligence, Army Intelligence, Air Force Intelligence, Department of Justice, Department of Health, Education, and Warfare, Bureau of Veterans Administration, General Service Administration, National Science Foundation, and even major American corporations, especially certain airlines, oil companies, and aerospace contractors. The cryptocracy invades the privacy of citizens and corporations. It meddles often violently in the inter politics of foreign nations and has hired, trained, and equipped mind control assassins for the murder of heads of state. The cryptocracy may have been involved in attempts to control U.S. citizens. It may control key figures in the U.S. and world press. Story within the story, I discovered, is an astonishing one of a psychological war waged by the U.S. hypocrisy against the American people. The scientific reports and history face the story in time, and at the government story. However, the literature of the hypocrisy ignore the very real human factor. There is no written records of the mental anguish. You understand this? The white thing is there are no written records. Because, they don't want to leave a paper trail. Okay? At least not any written records that's within the government agency that anybody can find. Okay? Torture of the soul that comes from loss of memory and a resultant identity crisis. The mental anguish is the human story of mind control. The stories that followed are told by the failures of Operation Mind Control. Failures because the victims remember something. But where mind control is successful, there is no memory left. One of the characters in the Manchurian Candidate described his recurring dreams that result from suppression of memory. It's not so much that I can't sleep. It's more that I'd rather not sleep. Walking around punchy because I'm scared. I kept having the same nightmare. The nightmare called on hero described was actually the memory of having killed on cue. On the stage, before an audience of communist mind control, he strangled one of his followed soldiers with his car and blew out another brain with a high-power pistol at point-blank range. Several of the men I interviewed had dreams which could have been written by Colden. Tex was an Army sergeant stationed in the Mediterranean area. He came back from service with amnesia, but in his dreams, a vivid scene was replayed again and again. In the dream, my buddy, I know him well, we shared things together. My buddy's taken with his hand behind his back. I'm standing in a rank in a line of other soldiers. And we are like a firing squad. I kept thinking, I wouldn't shoot my friend. I turned the rifle on the commander, but we don't have rifles. My buddy is marched into an open area in front of us with his hand tied behind his back. He's blindfolded, and some Arab is talking to him, or reading to him. Another Arab come up and hit him behind the knees with the rifle, and he falls to the knee position. Then, while he's on his knee, one of the Arabs takes a big sword and cut his head off. His neck squirted blood, but surprisingly little. His head rolled to the ground. His face has a peaceful expression. His body twitched and squirmed like a chicken. That's when I always wake up. The Colden was right. In their sleep, the memory of atrocities surfaced with vivid awareness among the victims of mind control. Night after night, terrible images suppressed by a deeply conditioned response emerge as terrifying nightmares. Are they mythological, respective dreams, or are they recovered memories? Text dream is a mere fragment of more than 1,200 pages of testimony. And chapter 2, only one line for my country. So the gray waters of amnesia he drifted, coming back from blind corner. First the echoes, like electronically amplified voices speaking to him, a deep, deep well. Then far off, dim pink molecules of light. David's body lay still in the military hospital bed. Only his eyes rolled beneath the lid. For several hours, he lay that way, perfectly still. His eyes fluttering. The fluttering became more intense. His eyes opened. When I woke up, David said, I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't remember how I gotten there. why I was in the hospital. He asked nurses and aides why he was there. They told him he had to ask his doctor. David finally saw him. The doctor said he tried to commit suicide. That came to a great surprise to David. He didn't think he was a suicidal type. He asked the doctor why he tried to commit suicide. He took an overdose of Sleepy. Doctor told him. David knew that Sleepy was a patent medicine, that it was regulated chemically to an antihistamine, and that it could produce drowsiness. But David also knew it was not nearly as dangerous as prescription sleeping pill. Although he began to sense that something was fishy, he did not challenge the doctor. Nor did he let on that he suspected the story to be untrue. For the next 7 days, he simply lay in the hospital bed, puzzling over the odd chain of events that had landed before him. Whenever I read something like this, I always remember what happened to me in the beginning of my targeting. There were times when I go after I come out from work, or if I go out on the weekend, and I get in the train station, and every time a train will come, at the notion and the thought of jumping in front of the train. And when I had that thought, I would move back against the wall on the train platform. And then there was always a white man on the train platform, right? Looking at me and then looking at the train as it was coming. Okay? So I have to myself, I think I'm very, very lucky that when they brainwashed me, that all of it didn't take that. And I think for some people, and again, I talked about how what had happened to me, how I was drugged in the police precinct in the Bronx. So all of this coincide with, these types of conditioning programs. Use some drugs, right? Then hypnosis, the implantation of triggers and anchors, doc NLP, right? That is how we are triggered, because we have been programmed, we have been conditioned. So I always, whenever I read something like this, I always remember that, because it's something that was very frightening at the time, right? And I started when I got to the train. I remember this coworker of mine. He came to me. He's like, "Yo, man, everything okay? Because you look strange, man. There looks like something's going on." I said, "Yeah, man." I said, I had to explain to him what had happened to me. And he was like, "All right, whenever you need my help, just call me and let me know, And so he was one of those guys that was working on. At the beginning, he didn't target me at all. He never targeted me, and eventually he ended up leaving. So I think he knew what was happening because he was trying to help me. So yeah, I think either he left or they laid him off. But I know that when this is what happened. So one night at work, and they were targeting the crap out of me with the fire trucks, the police sirens. This is what they kept doing. They kept on the server when I was working a job. And I get a job and I had to go look for the folder, look at the job number, go to the server, find the folder with the job number on it. They would place folders with names of women that I had been involved with or slept with or what have you. And I didn't think about it, but this was just scaring the crap out of me. And I was like, why are all these names popping up? And these were names that didn't have a job number in it, so I know it was being done purposely. And every time I would click on that folder, I hear police sirens, right? And that's the crap out of me. They started targeting me, giving me the middle finger and all that shit. And, so I called this guy, I forgot his name. And I'm like, "Hey, man, can you just walk me to the train station?" I told myself I'm not feeling well. And he walked me to the train station, and everybody that was coming my way just kept looking at me. Like in this very strange way that they knew what was being done. Okay? And the fire trucks passing by, and I said, "You see this?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "This shit happens all the time,
So walked me to the train station, got on the train, got home, and I think it was that night, if I'm not mistaken, that I didn't go to work the next day. I basically had a breakdown because of that. Right? And so I was out of work for like 2 weeks. When I came back to work, he was gone. He no longer worked there. Right? And even stories what Neil was telling me, my brother in the TI. And every time a doctor, when he goes to see a psychiatrist and the doctor, you explain to him what happened, the doctor says, I believe you, they end up removing that doctor from that facility, or from that hospital. Okay? So this is nothing new. This is nothing new. Okay? We have to put these information out there because there are going to be others. And, you know, I've seen new TIs come on Facebook. My targeting started in 2017, you know. So this is still happening, still going on. Okay? All right, so let me get back to what I was saying. So I interviewed David several times over a period of 2 years. Each interview produced additional information as David's memories returned in fragments, isolated bursts. The following is taken from thousands of pages of transcript and has been edited so that the tedious process which uncovered David's memory is absent. It is slightly misleading only in that David did not remember his story in one continuous sequence, nor did the other victims quoted in this book. David had joined the U.S. Air Force in 1969. During his high school year, the draft had still been in effect. And after graduating on the honor roll, David decided to attend a small community college to get as much education as he could before his name was inevitably called by selective service. As his induction date approached, David realized he could obtain a deferral form from the draft because of his high scholastic standing. But he decided instead to take a break from education and fulfill his military obligation as properly as he could. Although he questioned America's reason for fighting, he did feel that military service was his duty. David had not been a part of the 60s revolution. He had never smoked marijuana or taken LSD. Nor had he demonstrated against the war in Vietnam, like so many of his friends. He was a studious, intelligent young man who was not inclined to rebellion. He was described by friends and family as one possessed by unusual common sense. In keeping with his cautious and practical nature, he negotiated a contract for medical corps service with his local Air Force recruiter and enlisted for a full-year tour of duty, thinking this would help him fulfill his ambition to become a doctor. After an uneventful in-processing, David was sent to Lackland Air Force Base for the usual 6 weeks basic training, and then on to technical school for another 6 weeks of special training. But when the time came for his job assignment, his great disappointment, he was assigned to the supply corps rather than the medical corps. He felt betrayed by the effort. Immediately after receiving his AFSC job assignment number, he retired to his barracks to rehearse a protest to his commanding officer. Moments later, a non-uniformed man entered the empty barracks and asked him to step aside and take a walk. David was puzzled, but went along without comment. When the two had reached a quiet spot on the base, the man told David that he guessed he was disappointed about receiving the AFSC of a box pusher in a supply warehouse. David was surprised by the man's knowledge of his
situation. Before he could reply, the man told David that the AFSC was just a cover, that he had actually been chosen to work in a sensitive area of intelligence. The assignment sounds glamorous to David. To lift his sagging skirt, he immediately decided to go along with the change of plans and accepted the special assignment without protest. The unidentified man told David to be patient and to learn well the special techniques of computer programming. He would be trained in while waiting for a security investigation to be complete. Within a few weeks, David was issued a top-secret crypto security clearance and assigned to the Air Force base at Minna, North Dakota. At Minna, he continued to feed supply numbers into the computer, developing his already excellent memory. He did the job well, and soon he received a letter of commendation and was promoted to sergeant. But for all of his accomplishments, he had begun to grow restless. Although he knew his computer programming was just a cover for intelligent work, he was still not satisfied with Air Force life. I was beginning to not like the extreme regimentation, and I suppose inside myself, I was beginning to build up a resentment about being there. But after I woke up in the hospital, I was not resentful. I was passive. I lay there thinking, trying to recall the last memory I had before I woke up in that bed. I didn't remember anything. It was like I've been asleep for my entire life up to that point, like I was ripped and wrinkled. The memories of what had happened, I did recover over a period of time, but they were fuzzy at first. Seems like somebody was robbing me, ripping my money. I was strapped down in the bed, I was yelling and screaming about something. I'm not the type of person that cursed that much. I hardly ever use foul language. But I know that I said some pretty foul things to those men who were with me. These were officers in the line of service who were with me. He says that they were officers in the service you cannot call a superior officer and obscene name without getting punished. Yet, I don't think I was ever reprimanded. So let me just not go on reading this, but I'm going to skip past some of this stuff, because I want to get to the other technology that was developed. Okay? So, this is chapter 4. Without knowledge about consent. Let's read chapter 4. I can hypnotize a man without his knowledge or consent into committing treason against the United States. Boasted Dr. George Edebrooks in the early 1940s. Edebrooks, chairman of the Department of Psychology at Colgate University, was called to Washington by the War Department shortly after Pearl Harbor. Since he was the ranking authority on hypnosis at the time, he wanted his opinion on how the enemy might be planning to use hypnotism. 200 trained foreign operators working in the United States, Eastbrook told the military leaders to develop a uniquely dangerous army of hypnotypical control 6 communists. At that time, only a handful of men knew of the government experiments with hypnosis. for the purpose of controlling minds in the interest of national security. In the decade, there have been no concentrated assassination of presidents, candidates, or civil rights leaders. It had not yet been Watergate, nor any disclosure of government agencies invading the privacy of United States citizens. CIA had not yet been conceived. Even its parents, the Office of Strategic Service, the OSS, did not exist. It was unthinkable at the time that an agency in the U.S. government would employ mind control techniques on its own people. Therefore, it was natural for George Eastman to believe that if America was threatened by hypnotic mind control, the threat would be posed by a foreign enemy working within the United States. So in 1943, Easterbrook found his political law and planted the seed of what would become priority top secret research for the next 25 years. Couching his disclosure in hypothetical terms and saying that the hypnotized mind could be put to military use, he then portrayed a scene which he said could very easily take place. It could be possibly, he said, for the enemy to plant a foreign agent as a doctor in the hospital of his own office. This doctor could, by means of fake physical examination, place thousands of people under his power over a period of time. Easterbrook Project projected how, by hypnotizing officers and programming them to follow suggestions, this mask maneuver could enable a lowly first lieutenant to take over the reins of the entire U.S. Army. His alternate scenario depicts the general staff summoning a colonel from intelligence for an emergency meeting in the Pentagon 2 days after an outbreak of war. Shortly after entering the room where Pentagon brain trusters were gathered, the colonel was put into a hypnotic trance by an Army psychologist and told there have been a change of plan for the defense of major territories. The detail of the plan would be conveyed in absolute secrecy in a specific command, since the enemy has been very successful in monitoring U.S. communication. A new, highly reliable procedure is needed to set the message past the enemy. The colonel, under the influence of hypnosis, will carry the top secret message. So, again, they don't need your consent or permission to hypnotize you. Okay? This is being done without our consent, which we already know. We've experienced this. Is probably the United States consent into our minds being intrude with these invasive technologies. And so, again, this is nothing new. And when I, people who use the TI, you say, well, yeah, I didn't get consent, and that's what it shouldn't be done. The facts are, the government has been doing this for decades.
Pardon me, Nigel. They're doing something to your voice. If you can, speak a little bit into the mic clearer, or try to move around. I think they're doing something to the signal probably on your phone, causing the voice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, as I was saying, right? So, they really don't need our consent. They didn't need our consent. They've done it at the office, tens of thousands of American citizens. Not just American citizens, but anyone. Okay? So whether you're a foreigner or whether you're living here permanently, being a citizen, they're doing it to you. Okay? They're doing this to everybody. This is how they can control people in the way that they have. And also using a religious institution. Okay? All right, so from the first days of Project Bluebird and throughout all of the ensuing CIA projects, the goal was the same. Find answers to the following questions. Can accurate information be obtained from willing or unwilling individuals? Can agency personnel, persons of interest to this agency, be conditioned to prevent any unauthorized source or enemy from obtaining information from them by any known means? Can we obtain control of the future activities, physical and mental, of any individual, willing or unwilling, by application of mind control techniques? Beyond the laboratory and operational research on unwitting subjects, the CIA set up training teams, which includes polygraph operators, interrogation specialists, hypnotists, and others in what was a long-range, all-out effort to develop reliable mind control and counter mind control techniques. In all, 15 separate research areas were defined by the CIA plan. Okay? Most of the drug projects came under the operating authority of the U.S. Navy at Bethesda Naval Hospital under the direction of Dr. Griffey. The drug project that had begun in 1947 continued until 1972. The CIA reports defined the project as one which sought to isolate and synthesize pure drugs for use in effective psychological entry and control of the individual. At the University of Rochester, again under Navy direction, Dr. Wendy investigated motion sickness. Morian sickness. The CIA report described that study as one to determine the effect of drugs on the vestibular function of the car and the development of side effects which indicate the possibility of psychological entry and control. Okay? These are just a few of the things here. The University of Minnesota was engaged in research to research the effect of LSD on animals. Okay, according to the document, the investigation of hypnosis as a mind control tool was kept under the aegis of the CIA. The prime research interest was the investigation of the possibilities of hypnotic and post-hypnotic control. While MK Ultra was the code name for the research and developed period of mind control, MK Delta was the code name for the operational phase in which all of the techniques of mind control were applied to individuals. What followed next was the MK All Trans, right? Acting out mindless role at the behest of the cryptocracy. All right. Cindy Jones was a sex symbol during World War II. Born Jessica Wilcott, with her catchy stage name, sharply legs, she rose to a standing second only to Betty Gale, as America's most popular pinup. Like other pinup girls, she was a favorite of the troops at the front, and she felt it was a duty to entertain them near the battlefield. After her advertised beauty faded, and she could no longer serve to raise the morale of the troops, with her parents, she served her country in another way. She served under MK Ultra as a hypno-programmed CIA courier for 12 years. Wow. Using women also part of their repertoire. We continue here, and I'm going through this book because I'm going to finish up soon. And this is a long book. This is, you know, pretty much you guys can have to read this book, and it's gonna, you know, not gonna be reviewed in one sitting. Like I said, it is a book. I want to get to the directed energy part of this book. You got to scroll down through to find the different chapters. They have a chapter they call the lone nuts, which again we see time and time again with you know, these so-called mass shootings with these so-called lone gunmen. All right, this is what they do, and you know, so again, this is nothing new. Okay. So, and then the patriotic assassin, I'm going to get that. Okay. So this is chapter 19 from Bionic Woman, the Simulated Cat. In 1967, a writer named Lincoln Lawrence published a book which asks the question, was Lee Harvey Oswald a robo-assassin programmed by the sophisticated techniques known as RHIC EDOM? The letter stood for Radio Hypnotic Intracerebral Control Electronics Disillusion of Memory. Lawrence speculated that Oswald had been behavior controlled and prepared during his defection to the Soviet Union as a sleeper agent programmed to return to the United States and murder on clue. It was the Manchurian candidate theme with one exception. Lawrence insisted that the Russian had not masterminded the RHIC-EDOM plan. It had been masterminded, he thought, by the international cartel of commodity merchants who sought to make millions by driving the market down with the assassination of a president. Any president. Lawrence wrote, Lee Harvey Oswald was to be utilized as, and now you must play your brain and get outside your preconceived notion of what espionage and sabotage are to be. The RHIC control person, someone like a mechanical toy. The RHIC control people can be processed, as Oswald was in Minsk, allowed to travel to any country, and be put to use even years later by the application of RHIC control. In short, like the toy, he can, in a sense, be wound up and made to perform acts without any possibility of the controller being detected. Under RHIC, a sleeper can be used years later with no realization that the sleeper is even being controlled. He can be made to perform acts that he will have no memory of ever having carried out in a manipulated kind of kamikaze operation where the life of the sleeper is dispensable. RHIC processor make him particularly vulnerable because if he is detected and caught before he performs the act, nothing he says will implicate the group or government which processed and controlled him. Lawrence used as evidence the official Russian record that Oswald had been admitted to the hospital in Minsk at 10 a.m. on March 30th, 1961. Record states that he was admitted with complaints about separation from the right ear to a weakening in hearing. Lawrence said that this was a cover-up for the real reason for Oswald's state. But there was one slight oversight. He was hospitalized for 11 days for an ordinal operation. 11 days of ordinal removal is, of course, preposterous. In austere Soviet Russia, it was particularly ridiculous. What really happened, according to Lawrence, was that during the operation, a small electrode was implanted inside Oswald George's sinus. There you go again. Now, those who've been on my talk show before, I talked about how the nasal passage is where they can implant a chip to the brain, because the nasal passage gives direct access to the brain. Okay? There's nothing behind the nasal passage that blocks, anything from entering in the brain. That's why when people, on drugs, they sniff whatever, right? That it goes into the brain and gives them that, that euphoric feeling. See? I've talked about that. This is how they implant the chips in. A very long needle up the nasal passage. I've talked about from time to time how my nose, right, would just start hurting. If I touch it, it will hurt really, really bad. Okay? And this happens every couple of years. I always figure that, when I'm sleeping, they come into my bedroom when I'm sleeping, and they insert a new chip because the old chip probably failed. All one bad. Right? Because every time that happens, it's happened about, I would say, 2 or 3 times during this entire ordeal that I've been through. Okay? Engines of security. The gases of technology fuel the engines of security. New terrifying technology creates secret systems that conceal its potential for devastation. Those systems, in turn, proliferated the industry of secrecy. The industry turned its vast potential of research and development to create a science of secrecy, mind control, a science unto itself. Autocracy has used mind control for the past 30 years and has used it on its very own agents and employees, on enemies and friends alike. It has used it on thousands of Americans without their knowledge or consent. The CIA has programmed assassins and couriers by it. The CIA has even openly confessed this conspiracy of mind control. Many people will believe that since the CIA has publicly disclosed its interest in mind control, it has now ceased its activities. The early CIA records, however, contain a number of termination dates for aspects of Operation Mind Control. Yet evidence clearly suggests that it continued past those dates. In 1975, following the release of the Rockefeller Commission report, the subsequent investigation by Senator Church and Congressman Pike committees, the public accounting was given and apologies were made. The intelligence community was reprimanded and small changes were made. And that's small changes. Okay? The word we need to be listening to. But then in July 1977, following a wave of resignation in the CIA clandestine service, CIA Director Admiral Stanfield Turner informed the Senate Intelligence Committee that the whole story had never been told. Even though the case had been put to rest, Turner informed the committee and the White House that additional information had been found that proved the CIA had given a number of mind-controlling drugs to untold numbers of Americans, including alcoholics, drug addicts, and terminal cancer patients. CIA spokesman, questioned by reporters, could say no more, and he did not know how many persons were tested or whether any harm resulted. The new record indicates that there have been cases in addition to those revealed in the previous congressional hearing. The result was headlined in the press about the CIA and drugs. The two words were now commonly linked. Now, when I talk about the crack epidemic in the 1980s and the CIA embedded itself within major metropolitan police departments across America, and people never question and say, well, okay, how was it that these poor black men, poor black and brown black men and women, suddenly became chemists, suddenly became knowledgeable to where they can take powder cocaine, okay, mix it with baking soda and whatever else, and create a drug that was 10 times more potent than cocaine. No one ever asked those questions, okay? And there's a reason why no one ever asked those questions, because, just read them. It's brainwashing the entire American population, okay? And so, we have to understand this. This is written in a book called Darker Lines by Gary Webb, okay? When he lays out what the CIA had done. Okay? Because they couldn't fund the illegal war. The Reagan administration couldn't fund the illegal war. They used black people as a catalyst to fund them through the selling of drugs and the, arresting of drug dealers and victims of these were taking the drugs. They were giving us a pretty lengthy time for using drugs, not for selling it, for using it. So they were killing two birds with one stone. What the Nixon administration did in the late 60s, with the war, his so-called war on drugs, right? So recent history documents the fact that the CIA, the whipping boy, the cryptocracy, covered up and routinely lied about its activities, reaping one lie and another. In an elaborate network of false, it stretches credibility to believe, therefore, that the CIA, and especially lower-profile member of the cryptocracy, have terminated the mind control research and development that has been going on for 30 years. While it may be true that the pain, drug hypnosis aspect of mind control has been stopped, one cannot believe that it has ceased because it is thought illegal or immoral. If it has ceased only because it is obsolete, and the new technology of radiation and electronic brain stimulation has given the cryptocracy a more powerful form of control. What is likely is that the cryptocracy is moving from the control of an individual's mind and body to the control of masses. There is usually a 20-year lag between the laboratory development of new technology and its application at launch. For example, the technique of audiovisual desensitization was developed at Stanford University in the mid-50s by Volpe and Lazarus. Working on a government contract at the time, they discovered how a person could be cured of phobia, fears, such as the fear of flying, alcoholism, drug addiction, homosexuality, and other social illnesses that were previously thought incurable. You understand this? They can cure homosexuality. They also can cure homosexuality, but they can turn anybody that's homosexual that if they want. And again, it may be that they may do it under extraneous circumstances. Maybe there's people going through issues, which is what happened with a lot of people who are subjected to sexual trauma when they're young. Okay? So all of this is all part of the CIA, mind control. Okay? That's why we get all these pedophiles running around. They're being conditioned that way. Okay? So, while Volpe and Lazarus thought that they were merely trying to develop a technique to help people, the government kept a watchful eye on their research. As we discovered by the confession of Commander Narut, the Navy used audio-visual desensitization for its own purpose in the mid-70s. Exactly 21 years after its original development, the technique of narco-hypnosis was developed before World War II and became widely applied in the early 60s. The next stage of mind control is based on radiation that can stimulate the brain for the purpose of remote control. This technology already exists today and is in the experimental stage. We can be assured that inside 20 years it will be used widely by people outside the government. The problem of mass manipulation is much easier to solve than individual manipulation. This is exactly what's happening now. And also that too, but they use to try to confuse people, right? To make them crazy. Right? For the purpose of distraction and detraction. Okay? And when they experiment on people, they brainwash them into believing that they've been abducted by aliens. And so they're like, oh, he's talking about being abducted by aliens. That's crazy. Right? No one's going to listen to this. Go on the document. Okay? It says, the secret government cannot function in a climate of free speech, open criticism, and public exposure. The question comes down one of democracy. Are the American people willing to give up their democracy principle, the democratic principle, in exchange for an elusive national security? Okay, in his book, Roots of War, retired cryptocrat Richard Bernard wrote, the great root of war is the vulnerability of the public to maintain a national security issue. People do not perceive where their true interests lie, and hence are easily swayed by emotional appeals to support policies that cost them their money, their sons, and their own lives, because they have been willing to accept uncritically the myth of national interest. The definition advanced by the national security managers, they exercise almost no control over the commitment the managers make in their name. Supposedly, they are the beneficiaries of national security policy, which really protects the interests of all Americans only if those interests are articulated for the political purpose. Okay? These are the elites, the military. They like to talk about national security, law and order. These are all coded words for them to take away people's rights, to bring out these technologies, and people will begin to accept them. You know? That's why you had a series of mass shooters, one after the next, one after the next. Now they can come out with these technologies and say, hey, you know, we can use these technologies to prevent people from becoming mass shooters. Right? They're always going to do things that's going to give them the authority and the power in which no one is going to question them. Right? And one of the biggest method they use is the lone gunman mass shooter. This is what they could do. Okay? All right, so I'm going to end this right here. There's still a lot more to go. You guys can read up on this. It's very informative. And I might have missed some of the things, but it's a lot. Again, I'm reading from a book, right? So I just want to just put this all in this call because I'm not going to do this again next week. So, you know, that stuff's been 70 years of this thing. This is nothing new. Okay? And you know, we gotta do our part to expose it, which we are doing. And then using this platform as well as other platforms. And we just have to get the rest of the CI community to understand and wake up, you know, to what's happening to them, to come together. But it's very difficult, you know, because these technologies, particularly the microwaving. It's a difficult thing to do. Because when they turn it up, man, there is no defense that you can do. I mean, I think I've developed a lot of defense. But when they start microwaving us heavily, my family, or maybe my parents, the kids, I can't do it. I can't take it. I gotta go. I try not to get upset. But there's nothing I can do except to leave and then, go home, lock myself in a room, go to sleep, try to sleep, so I can't even sleep, and then come back the next day. So, it's difficult, but we gotta keep sharing this information. We gotta keep finding these gems, and slowly but surely they're coming out, and hopefully those in future generations who might be part of the program or being somebody get into this will have all these documents that we've accumulated over decades at their disposal. Because the only how we're going to beat this as people, as human beings, that we become knowledgeable about it, know what they're trying to achieve, know the effects that they're trying to achieve, okay? Which is the total control of the human mind. And you to give up your mind to them so that they can control you. And that we cannot do.
After the call is uploaded, and what can I say, man? This call right here, with your segment, as far as the mind control, is definitely on the money, man. Definitely, no question about it, man. And genuine EI/TIs need to recognize that technology doesn't only exist; it's been there for the past, as far as we know, like 70 years, man. You know what I mean? And people that don't realize that, don't take the time to research it, end up being not just falling victim to it, a lot more easier, a lot more susceptible to it because you're not aware of its existence.
Right, exactly.
And with that being said, I'd like to ask our brother, Not a Thunder, you still there, man? Pardon the tardiness, man. Yo, how you feeling over there, man? If you want to drop your targeting first, you're more than welcome to it. If you got any articles, you're more than welcome to read them as well. You got the floor.
Okay. Yeah, I've got an article to read about the technology they use to spy on our phones. But yeah, I'll drop what they've been doing to me. Today and the last few days. So they started increasing the directed energy attacks again. You're right, RT, when you said they were hitting me with something. They've been hitting me all day today. My stomach's been hurting. I've been feeling dizzy, ringing in my ears, all the symptoms of the microwave attacks. I had to basically go in my canopy. It took me about 3 hours to feel somewhat normal. But yeah, they've been hitting me in my stomach with something. I don't know what it is, but I've been getting pains in my stomach. Now, also, when we go on to the subject of stomach problems, my sister, the other week, she had a problem with her stomach. So I guess they're hitting my sister as well with whatever they're hitting me with, because she had to go to a hospital to get her stomach checked out, and luckily it came back all clear. There was nothing wrong with her, but she had stomach pains, and this is exactly what I've been getting. I've been getting stomach pains, chest pains, but mostly stomach pains, particularly in my left stomach. And I don't know what it is they're hitting me with, but I've been getting that. I've been getting dizzy spells, like feeling dizzy. And I also think they've been using this on my granddad because he has quite ill. He has heart condition, he has a mental condition like Alzheimer's and something else. And one of the things that was happening with him was he was passing out all the time. He would, fall, and stuff like that. And today I've been getting dizzy feeling in my head. When I stand up, I'll get like a kind of dizzy feeling. And, you know, I was like, yo, where's this come from? Because I didn't have that feeling yesterday or the day before. Now, all of a sudden today, I've been getting this dizzy feeling. I guess they've been hitting me with some kind of weapon or frequency that's making me feel that way. Yeah, man, today, technology, you know, I open the window. As soon as I open the window, this happened twice. You know, there's someone outside the exact minute I open the window, getting in a car. I go to the window earlier today, someone's getting in a car. Sorry, no, a car was driving in. So, you know, the synchronization we were talking about earlier, that's exactly what they do to us. You know, we'll open the window or we'll look out the window and there'll be someone there, or there'll be a vehicle pulling in at the exact moment I do it. And this is the synchronization. You know, yesterday I went out at night and they had this freak of nature with like a stick. They like to use these kind of weird people. I guess, I don't know if they get them to dress like that or they genuinely get these crazy people. You know, they had this crazy looking guy with a stick, like, walking towards me. I'm like, don't you even fucking walk towards me like that. You know what I mean? Because he was like walking towards me, like, in a friendly way. I'm like, don't you fucking walk towards me. So, and then he kind of backed off and walked away. And they had this, like, car parked up on the junction. And it was taking way longer on the junction. This was about, say, 11 p.m. at night, Friday night. And it was on the junction, and it's like, it could have turned. There was no vehicle. They were just sat on the junction. So I guess they had that there to see what I'd do, or the intimidation factor. So yeah, man, they've been using my neighbours heavily. Like, just as I was listening to Nigel, you know, they had the neighbours next door to me, like, banging, and sounded like they were doing something on their roof. Their house is next to mine, so God knows what they're doing. So I'd have to have a look to see if there's someone on the roof. Like, they're banging on the roof or something. You know, they've been doing all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sirens. They kind of cut back the campaign to some extent, and now they're reverting to the aggressive energy weapon attacks, the painful attacks. You know, they're feeling very tired today. Is another symptom of these weapons, is they make you feel kind of exhausted and lethargic, and like you don't want to go out, you don't want to do much, you feel kind of drained, and mind feels hazy. These are all symptoms of these weapons. So, you know, I've been in the canopy most of the time because I wanted to clear my head, and I noticed the difference. It didn't stop it entirely, but it kind of stopped it by maybe 3/4 of how bad it was. So, you know, this is what they do, man. Anyway, I just want to get the computer on and read this article. Not so much an article, it's more library of the technology that they use. Get it open because I've just got to get it in the canopy. I'm in the canopy right now because they've been hard all day. The energy weapons. Get it unlocked. Yeah, this is like a list of the technology. This is on the Intercept. It's called Government Cell Phone Surveillance Catalogue. So it's just a list of the devices that they use. So there's a lot of, it says secret as well on the documents. The first one is called ICS-2. It has capabilities: integrated collection system, cellular survey tool, GSM and CDMA. And GSM is a type of system that mobile phones use. Combines scanning, receiver, and computer into a single device, capable of being operated remotely, AC/DC or battery operation. This is what it can do. Data logging on removable card, designed for mobile or fixed operation. Software upgradable, weight 9 pounds. Yeah, requires. Okay. Yeah, man, it costs $195,000. This is just one little device, so these things aren't cheap, and this is what they're using. open it, some of them it describes what they can do. Right, so the next one is called Nemo Handy N95. So cellular survey tool for testing mobile applications, QoS, QoE, measuring the air interface of EGSM, GPRS, I have no idea what that is. Edge, WCDMA, HSDPA, Wi-Fi, so it can hack your Wi-Fi. Wireless networks, it is complete with voice and video streaming quality, MOS testing, cell and time slot testing, and the full application level metrics on voice and video calls. So it looks like this thing can not only hack phones, it can hack your computer Wi-Fi and basically probably see whatever's going through your Wi-Fi. So this, because it doesn't really describe that, but protocols, HSDPA, WCDM, GSM, so that's the phone, EGSM, GPRS, yes, GPRS, 850, 900, 1800, 1900, cost $11,500, secret, no form, it says under it as well. The next one's Nemo Outdoor, capabilities, cellular survey tool, system includes 2 GSM HS, 1 CDMA HS, 1 TDMA HS, sorted scanners, GPS receivers, they can track where you are through the, I say, these smartphones, they can track the GPS on the smartphones. So this has a GPS receiver, records cellular information for download to Nemo, analyze. Hook DTI scanners to laptop for simultaneous recording of numerous networks, so they can record the networks and what's going through it, I guess. Protocols 900 megahertz, 1800, 850, 1900, MA, GeoIP, cost $8,000. Things to know. Next one's called SageM OT488498. Capabilities, cellular survey tool for measuring the air interface of GSM, EGSM, PRS, wireless networks. Only record one network at a time. This is like easy to conceal when not hooked to a laptop. So these things can be hidden. I'm looking at a picture of it. It looks like a phone. It just looks like a mobile phone. So I guess they have the perps on the street with these things, and they can basically measure your messages. They can say your messages. So protocols 850, 900, 1800, 1900 megahertz. Part of MRT systems costs $10,000. The next one's called Blackfin 1 and Blackfin 2. Blackfin 2 adds more performance capability to the Blackfin system while keeping the same compact package. The EF2 is designed to be body-worn or packaged for concealed missions, and be discreetly configured and controlled via Bluetooth with a mobile controller, quad-band interrogator that can conduct passive monitoring, which basically means it listens without transmitting. Passive means it's listening, it's not transmitting. Survey, interception of GSM voice and SMS, basically means your mobile phones, voice calls, and your text messages. Of a preloaded target list, so they can add phones to the targeted list device. Basically in English that means they can add your phone, lock onto your phone, and you listen to everything your phone does and any text message your phone sends. It can like that. Blanketed or targeted denial of service, right? How often we lose our phone signal as TIs, and it says it can do that. It says denial of service and geo-given GSM handset. I think that means it can it says geo-given, so I think it basically in English that means it's like the geographical location. Then it can find exactly where the phone is. So this is quite a small looking device. It's not big. You'll see when I send the documents. It costs $75,000. The URC Autonomous Lighthouse. URC Autonomous is a wireless analyzer designed for wireless network data collection on GSM networks, your phone network again. It automatically detect control channel activities in log system, GSM 802.11, etc. It requires no computer during the collection phase. It's designed so that literally anyone can collect data and conduct analysis upon retrieval. So GSM 800 or 900, GSM European 900, 1800 MHz, CDMA 2850, 1900 MHz. Redecoding and coding of control channel messages. So get your messages. External GPS, software upgradable, mapping, data logging. That's $5,000. Next one, DRT 1101B. The DRT 1101B provides a compact yet powerful surveillance capability against a variety of analog and digital wireless standards. DRT 1101B can be configured to support DF, digital voice intercept recording. So we can voice. Stores target lists of up to 10,000 entries, 10,000 phones they can track with this device. Has a flexible tuner configuration. It provides frequency coverage of all bands of interest. 4 tuners can be incorporated in the unit. Costs £78,000. Sold from PCU, those 2000 XP. I guess this is. It says dated 1st of May 2006, declassify on 7th of January 2034. So, you know, they weren't going to let you know this exists till 2034, at least they hope. DRT 1183B. DRT 1183 provides a powerful surveillance capability against a variety of analog and digital wireless standards. DRT 1183 can be configured to support DF, digital voice intercept, recording. Supports target lists of up to 10,000 entries again, and has a flexible tuner configuration which provides frequency coverage of all bands of interest. Same declassified date. Secret. They hoped it was secret, but this is classified. Oh, get back to this. DRT 1201C. Provides a compact yet powerful surveillance against a variety of analog. Basically, it can do the same thing the other one can do. Digital voice intercept, recording, plus target list of 10,000 phones, I guess. DRT 1301C. Provides a miniature yet powerful surveillance capability against a variety of basically the same thing. It's a version of the last stuff. Has a advanced cooling system, so it doesn't need a fan apparently. I guess if they want it to be in a place where they don't want noise, they could probably use this in a house that's next to you, something like that. It's designed for harsh environment. Got the 1301B3. All of them the last one apparently. Voice intercept recording, digital voice, 1,000 entries again. And it's faster. Speed or something. Small size, low weight. That's $100K. $100,000 that costs. Full device, so that's how much. DRT 4411B. Miniature receiving system that provides powerful electronic surveillance capability against digital and analog. All about surveillance against its phones as well. a fixed-wing geolocation. So these are things they put on planes. And you know, as TIs, we have these planes constantly around us, flying over us. Garuda G-Box. Only if you look at you know, a lot of these people are Satanists. There's a little picture next to it of a gargoyle. So, I'm not shitting you. You know, if you read these articles, you'll see. The G-Box is used as a GSM, which is text, you know, mobile. GSM is basically text speak for your mobile phone's frequency. Airborne geolocation system to replicate a GSM, aka phone network. They operate by attracting and registering handsets operating on the local commercial network. Each handset's IMSI, International Mobile Subscriber Identity, and that's the thing I had to change on my phone because they hacked it and changed it to connect to a fake network. So the IMSI number is basically like your mobile phone's, like its identity. Sorry, no, it's like the address, it's like the address that say a mobile phone network has. It has like an address that your phone connects to. So your phone is designed to connect to the IMSI of your network. They hacked my phone and changed it to a different IMSI, so it connected to a different network that was pretending to be O2. So they operate by attracting and registering handsets operating on the local commercial network. Each handset IMSI, International Mobile Subscriber Identity, or IMEI, International Mobile Station Equipment Identity, compared against the target's watch list. Target's handset is identified and registered to the box. Geolocation solution is calculated. This is what they used on me. G-Box was specifically designed and built for geolocation missions, as in tracking where you are. Fixed-wing aircraft, manned or unmanned, so drones. Garuda received a software upgrade, modified the algorithm software which allows the system to take 1,000 entries, so I guess it could track 1,000 phones. So that's effective range, 5 miles. Right. 5 miles this thing can track. Airborne device. Farman. Another picture of a gargoyle for some reason. The box is used as a GSM air and ground geolocation system to replicate a GSM phone network base station. Operates by tracking and registering handsets operating on the local commercial network. Each handset's IMSI or IMEI is compared against the watch target list. When the target handset is identified and registered to the box, geo solution is calculated. I think it's basically the same thing the last one can. So that has a target list of 500, to track 500 devices, range 5 miles, band 880, 915 megahertz, 925, 960 megahertz. Deny, I even said, it says does not have deny, disrupt, degrade, and deceive, and that's GCHQ's favourite little word. So it's basically saying it is passive, and I think it can track things but can't disrupt them. But the fact it says does not have deny, disrupt, degrade, and deceive means it has other things that does. Well, I've already read it, you know, there's something that said it can deny the service. Carmen 2. G-Box 2 is a GSM system operating the 850, 900, 1800, 1900 megahertz frequency bands. Establishes connection with a target device. It operates by tracking and registering handsets operating on the local network. Each handset, the IMSI or IMI, is compared against the target watch list. So I think that's the device they used on me. You know, they must do something to that IMSI or IMAI to get it to connect to this device. So effective range again, 5 miles, 500 targets, target max, so it can track 500 max. So that's 500 phones, that's the max that it can track. Cost is $130,000. Typhoon, that's the next one. GSM airborne geolocation system. Replicate a GSM network, so basically pretend to be a phone network. Same thing again, I read before it does. Designed for fixed-wing aircraft. And we're having these Cessnas constantly flying around us all the time, right? These little white Cessna planes. They've probably got these things in them, you know, tracking our phones. So again, the range. Oh shit, 30 kilometers range in rural areas, 5 kilometers in urban areas. So this has got a longer range. Rated GPS, so I think that means it can track your GPS. So battery or vehicle power capable, 4 to 8 hour battery life. Windjammer. Windjammer is a FRIA Inmarsat handheld satellite simulator. With survey, stimulation, denial of service, right? You know, take your device out, it can stop it working. You know, like we know what we're saying, the eyes, we can't get through. You know, people can't phone us. This is exactly how they do it and the stuff they used to do that. Geolocation of the target handset. So using the GPS to track your phone, the built-in GPS. Prevents itself to satellite terminals as the net issuing commands to cause the terminals to communicate with the system directly, so it can pretend to be the satellite, I think. Terminal identifies are determined at which time they may be actively geolocated, as in the position on Earth located. Variants include portable, tracked system, the simultaneous multi-network operations, and UAV systems, which include low bandwidth remote control capability, made by SR Technologies. Operates in the 1,525, 1,559 range. And how range 2 miles, 8 miles in the air. That's got a bit of a longer range than some of the others. They can track you from 8 miles away. They can have an aircraft 8 miles away. Might look like it's just flying, you know, not anywhere near you, but they can track you with this shit. Radiance. Radiance is a self-contained portable airborne and ground interrogator system capable of capturing, interrogating, and geolocating CDMA 2000 and IS-95 mobile devices. Radiance captures, interrogates, and geolocates the handset by continuously collecting range data on the target and pairing this data with the GPS location of the system. That made a range similar. 450, 800, 1900 megahertz. Raven. Raven is used to interrogate WCDMA, I don't know what that is, phones, and geolocate target phones from the air or from the ground. Interrogation is the process of getting phones to send information such as their unique identifiers, IMSI and IMEI. That's the thing that I had to change on my phone because it got hacked. Causes denial of service during operation of the UTMS network for a short period. That can disrupt your phone. Gear Park. Targets 450 sub-band AC800 and 1900 megahertz. CDMA 2000 IS-95 mobile device. I have no idea what that is. Multi-banded system. Unique identifiers include IMSI and ESN MEID. Passive survey of handsets base stations. Basically listening, not transmitting. Passive geolocation of handsets base stations. So listening to find where your phone is, again the position of you with your phone. Active stimulation geolocation of handsets. So active is the opposite of passive, it means it's transmitting to your phone. So it can transmit to your phone. Active survey geolocation of handsets. So again, transmitting. Does not cause denial of service, ground airborne. Doesn't say the range. $150,000. Secret. Not to be declassified till 2034. Traveler, EWFOS. Traveler is a developed software-defined multi-protocol system capable of active, passive, GSM, aka for your phone, geolocation, passive, GSM, survey, tower mapping, which can mean being the phone towers where they are. There's a picture of an aircraft that looks like a beach, maybe, plane, like a little passenger plane. Tower mapping, intercept, copy geolocation, massive capability, reduces network signature impact on the network, provides robust airborne network surveillance capability. This is built by BAE Systems, which is a British company. They make a lot of missiles and weapons and aircraft and stuff like that. Protocols, GSM 815, 1900, that's like phones. GSM survey, semi-passive geolocate, so I guess that means kind of not transmitting, kind of is at the same time. HPC, you have paper and all that means. That's 750,000. Oh, 10 channel, 20 megahertz to 3 gigahertz airborne software programmable system designed to survey and geolocate designated signals of interest. Your phone. Targets to 850, 900, 1800 and 1900 megahertz bands. Designed for adding additional SOIs and matter for software and traveler processing. I don't know what SOI is. The near term includes CDMA and UMTS, multi-channel spatial processing, covert on-demand active techniques, and that means it transmits but covertly. Movable between platforms in the field, as in it can be removed and sorted. Multi-channel direction finding, which basically means it can find your position. Correlation interferometer, precision geolocation, find your position on the Earth. Nebula. Nebula is an NSA developmental airborne multi-protocol box designed for geolocation against GSM, CDMA, UMTS, H. Only can target HPCM and GSM, which is the phone, as you know. Probably know, I've said it a few times, but the NSA, blah blah blah, I'll skip this. And GSM, multiband, CDMA, 2000, UMTS, HSB, able to lock and hold traffic from 12 miles away. I think lock and hold means it can scoop up your messages. And you know, we say, one of the first things that was happening with my phone, before I realized what was going on, was messages were being delayed. And my friends would get the messages like several hours later. I think that's that. It can scoop up your messages, hold them, so they can read them, and then it can choose whether to transmit them on or not into the main network. So, yeah. That's cost BB, so I don't know what that to be announced, maybe. I don't know. That's classified as well. Securus MVDF capabilities. MVDF provides instantaneous PT VHF, UHF. UHF is PP. I think wrong. Geolocation capability, so can track, I think, TV trans. I think this is more for tracking rogue baits. You know, when they're transmitting their signals, you know, on TV stuff. So there's also military stuff in here as well. So can geolocate TV or radio transmitter. So geolocation capability to support missions where it is possible to fly much closer to targets than traditional standoff systems. Ideal for rural or remote areas where the density of emitter is low. No inherent interference cancellation. Ideal for AFG operations. Don't know what that means. Signal types for initial system frequency range 100-500 MHz. Push-to-talk transceivers. FRS transceivers. High-powered cordless phones, so these can trap walkie-talkies. Handset and base stations, CW beacons and RF tags, trunk mobile radios. That's $1.5 million. That this is a CIA system. Secret. EGL payloads on UAVs. Twister S100. I'll skip this because I'm sure these are not classified apparently. Secret, unclassified. Oh, I've seen this one. Twister Fire Scout. I've seen that the little drone. It's like this little helicopter. I was like, I've seen it with rockets on the side of it, so they've weaponized these things. Had Hydro guided version of the Hydro rockets on them. Twister is a multi-frequency band micro-class base station router. Sorry, no, the Twister's not the helicopter, it's just it can be mounted on this little helicopter. The helicopter, I don't know what it's called, but I recognize it, my mistake. Multi-frequency band micro-class base station router is a power output of 0.43 BM integrated GPS voice and high-speed data capability. GSM security and encryption, making system highly mobile and deployable for field use. System designed for VBTS GUI software. GUIs like Microsoft, we know you can click on things instead of having to use code. Support, which includes all VBTS GUI feature base and applications. Software allows for complete command and control, which provides support for a variety of field applications. It's optimized for low power consumption, custom installation, and familiarity of use with the existing VBTS and GUI operators. This is made by Northrop Grumman, which is an military aviation company. They made the F-14, Grumman made the F-14, and Northrop made a lot of stealth bombers. So, the military shit. Boeing, oh yeah, just that fucking, this is that little helicopter thing that I saw. Boeing Shebal S100. So this is talking about the helicopters, so I'll read it anyway for the hell of it. Real-time land of sea base, ISR, maritime takeoff and landing helicopter. 6 hours endurance, 55-pound payload, max speed, 140 kilometers an hour. They cannot arm with weapons. So we know that's bullshit because I've seen a picture of it with Hydro rockets on it. So. Alright, this is back on the electronic shit. Guava G-Pod SDE LOS. The SB-1 G-Pod system is a GSM airborne UAV geolocation system to replicate a GSM network, phone network. The G-Pod Garuda in an 18-inch pod is deployed on the MQ-19 FT, so I think that's a helicopter. This little... oh, it's something else. Probably a drone of some type. Okay, where did I... Once at mission altitude, the ground control data link operates from surface terminal element, contacts the G-Pod and creates an Ethernet connection, payload command and control, as well as data link command and control. Payload operator is then free to perform mission activities like the air-to-ground control data link tracks and maintains the connection with the UAV sensor pair. Made by Northrop Grumman again, Thermal Atomics, military shit again. Oh yeah, 90 NM, which is nautical miles. That's one way. Starwind BLOS pod. BLOS G-Pod Starwind is a GSM airborne UAV geolocation system to replicate a GSM network station. Deployed on the Predator UAV, I'm sure you've heard of that. That's the one that has the missiles that with BLOS capabilities. So this is how they are able to destroy these terrorists so easily. But these things can track the phone, so all they've got to do is get the phone the terrorist is using. They can probably fire a Hellfire missile that they'll lock onto that phone signal, then it will home in on wherever the terrorist is, and then boom. You know, that shows how they've been able to destroy these terrorists so easily. So, sorry, America, but, you know, I'm dropping the beans on. Alright, so, able to operate in areas without a surface terminal element. Reducing the need for a ground footprint. Garwind allows the transfer of G-Pod and Windjammer sensor data over the BLOS SOCOM SATCOM data link. Whether that is using the Garwind ground control system. That goes on the Predator drone. So, yeah, this is probably how they're able to destroy these terrorists in Pakistan, wherever. They'll get these drones with the missiles, and then, you know, like in the new Bourne film, where it fired a missile. Not the latest one, the one before that, not with Matt Damon, the other one where it fired a missile and it tracked a tracker that he had on him. Imagine that being a phone. That's probably how it works. So, Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is a geolocation device designed to conduct BLOS UAV APG operations from MQ-1 aircraft, which is the Predator. Gilgamesh is controlled by the air handler Predator Ku-band data link and does not require SDE to operate. System geolocates with accuracy and generally the same as other systems. This is NSA. Range. How easy. There you go. Another tracking thing. These are all drone mounted. Air handler. Air handler is designed to conduct BLOS UAV geolocation from the Predator aircraft, primarily used against low-band PTT signals of interest. So, again, similar. There's all the phone frequencies again. Doesn't say the range, but I imagine quite long. BLOS pod. Pod-based capability that allows for remote operation of Ethernet payloads, removing the requirement for dedicated line of sight. Tactical data link. Ethernet data is routed over the aircraft serial SATCOM data link using an asymmetric Ethernet device. AD is placed on each end of the aircraft SATCOM data link on board the pod and is used to convert Ethernet data serial transmit. I think what this means is it can maybe hack or read the data through the Ethernet system. So, I don't know, 100% on that. Grab pod, Radiance pod. Pod bay. I think I read a Radiance system. Pod base, so pod. But no needed. Ragged Amber, next generation BLOS. Pod-based capability allows for remote operation of Ethernet payloads, removing requirement for dedicated line of sight. Tactical data link. Ethernet data is routed over dedicated airborne SATCOM. Terminal integrated onto the pod, moving the requirement for leverage. Over Grumman, this GSM, our phone again. Traveler pod. Pod base, GSM survey map, geolocation. MA survey map, geolocation. HPCP, PTT intercept, F3I intercept. Copy geolocation. Less intrusive techniques reduce network signature impact on the network. Provides robust airborne network surveillance capability. Developer BAE Systems, General Atomic, a British company. Probably what's on these Cessnas. So I'm sure you'll know the name of the next people coming up. They've not got to it yet. GX 200. CSM simulation. All the stuff I don't. I mean, that's been replaced by something else. Artemis. I think I've heard of this one somewhere. dual band 850, and there's a picture of this one with a van next to it. Dual band 850, 900, 1900, 1800 and megahertz system provides GSM geolocation capability similar to the Carman and G-Box. Cannot be operated from air platforms. It's currently a ground system. And I guess. Mobile antennas can be located with an accuracy of ±5 degrees to create a CEP around the target. I don't know what that is. User-friendly, say the range, $1,000. Optimus 2, dual band 850, 1900, 900, 1800 megahertz. Provides a GSM geolocation capability similar to the G-Box and Carman. Cannot be operated from the air, similar to the other stuff. Maximus GSM stimulation, which I think means transmits, pretend to be a phone transmitter. Geolocation device replicates BTS to STIM handset into RF-TCA. Yeah. Provides limited capability to isolate targets utilizing firewall options. Isolate, I think that means it can stop any messages getting out. So, yeah, this is a small-tone radio technology, protocol GSM, so mobile only. Range 1 to 4 kilometers. Target handset must be on and not engaged in a call. Locking handset into TCH drains battery and raises signal strength. So we know our phones' battery life doesn't last, does it? Oh, I'm sure many of you have experienced that. Error can identify a rogue BTS, which I think means base transmitter station, so a fake phone network. Proper use can impact the network. Articus, a GSM stimulator-only capability to meet the requirement for a man-portable geolocation device. A man-portable, this one, and there's a guy with a backpack. You know, how many perps have we seen with these backpacks right around us? GSM adds to register to it instead of nearby cell towers in order to match handsets to a target list. Targeted handsets can then be on a specific channel siren call, geolocated anonymous device, located with the use of direction finding devices. That has a range of 1 to 4 kilometers. Oh, yeah. Another one. Articus 2, standalone man-portable vehicle and airborne PGL system. Simultaneous dual-band, dual BTS with received diversity. Artemis 1 to interface cross-border operations. Works in conjunction with rover software application, able to go from airborne or vehicle mount configuration to dismounted operation. GSM again. $80,000. Cyclone 9. Highly mobile ground GSM stimulation and geolocation device. Replicates base transmitter station to STIM. I don't know what that means. Handset. It's RF-TCH line for VF. GSM security and encryption. Rated GPS. Relay GCM cellular communications. A range of 15 kilometers. So, far away. Windjammer. Bookshot. Capabilities. Project Bookshot is a ground direction finding DF system specifically targeting PT radios. The system is designed as a carry-on system suitable for quick install, low profile, passive DF geo missions. Cost $40,000. Direction finding. Yellowstone. Ground GSM stimulation device. Replicates BTS, so your phone transmitter station. Provides limited capability to isolate targets utilizing wild cars or reject course. I think that might be military speak for make it look like it's a technical problem when it's messing with your phone. I could be wrong. Oh no, officer 200 miles. Ground distance 200 meters. Target handset must be on and not engaged in the call. Locking onto the handset drains the battery, raises the signal strength. Target watch list limited to 500 IMEI, IMEI and IMSI. Use of system requires connection with other geo elements. Don't know. Network can identify rogue base transmitters. As improper use can kingfish. Ground GSM.
I got you, Nate.
Yeah, I just got booted. Yeah, I think the reason it booted me is probably because this is one of the ones they're using. Because Kingfish, I think, was one of the ones that apparently they use a lot. So Kingfish, ground GSM, BDMA stimulation device, replicates BTS, so your phone transmitter base station, so you know your cell towers, to stim handset into RFSD-CCH, I don't know what that means, allowing for DF, which I think means direction finding. Oh, yeah, it must mean direction finding. An optional 5-watt amplifier available, backpack version, right? It says backpack version. Yeah, how many of these perps do we see with backpacks? Can lock and direction find. I know, right? You know, we see them so many times with backpacks. It can't be good
all the time,
though,
bro.
right?
Usually when I'm walking and I come out of my building or I come out of my job, there's always a lead tail perp. Lead tail perps are the ones that walk in front of us and they already know where we're going, but they're walking ahead of us with like a backpack. They have a backpack usually, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's color-coded with red or whatever other color that they use to sensitize any EI/TI in particular, you know what I'm saying? Depending on what they're trying to get across, you know what I'm saying? Whatever subliminal message they're trying to get across. If they want to let you know, obviously they'll have a red, a bright red, you know, backpack. Sometimes it's all black, sometimes it varies to yellow, whatever. But what I wanted to say was that usually the reason why they call lead tail perps that particular terminology is because they're the ones that are in front of us. So if we start saying they're following us, right, it's going to look kind of, you know, like crazy, because like, how you going to say they're following you when you're recording them from behind? You're following them. But it's done through the GPS, through the synchronization, and how they know where we're going to be going before we get there, through the remote neural monitoring and shit like that. But going back to what you were saying, I don't want to take too much of your time, man. I know that you got other stuff you want to read up on, and you got the floor tonight. Pardon me on that.
That's no problem, man. Yeah, there's not too much left now, but yeah, they're probably, the reason they're in front of you is probably because they're tracking your phone, so they know you've left your, you know, apartment, and they can see where your phone is, because these things, it says they can direction find, so they can basically pinpoint where you are in the area. So this is built by the same people that made the Stingray, Harris Corporation. So protocol, yeah, man. So protocol 900 megahertz, 4,800 megahertz, 850 megahertz, 1900 megahertz, CDMA. I don't know what CDMA is, but like the transmitting signal. So it must be, your phone must be on and not engaged in a call for it to work. Cannot direction find with Gajal or Datong system. I don't know what that is. Drains the battery, raises the signal strength. So, yeah. Used by Hello Assault Forces, so Helicopter Assault Forces. Stingray 1 and 2, you know, these are the most infamous ones that everyone's heard of. Well, everyone here, I'm sure you've heard of this one. Ground GSM CDMA stimulation device. Replicates base transmitter station to STIM handset into RFSD-CCH, allowing for direction finding. Passive and active modes of operation, so, you know, it can listen and it can transmit. 5 watt amp available. That's Harris again. Same as before, handset must be on and not engaged. Drains the battery and raises the signal strength. That's how everyone's heard of that one. The RD-13. The RD-13 is a radio frequency RF and direction finding signals intelligence system that provides signal location and exploitation. The RD-13 provides tier IO, EW means electronic warfare, operators with the ability to direction find any GSM signal of interest. However, the PRD-13 is much larger than other direction finding systems. The system is part of the tier EW, again electronic warfare inventory for certain conditions that require broad spectrum, large area focus. Vendor L3 Communications Linkabit Division. Protocols 2 MHz, 2 GHz. But this is basically pinpointing where signals are coming from, I think. Hayden 1 and 2. So this is probably what they're using on me in the UK, because this is made by BAE Systems. Project Hayden is a survey, interrogation, simulation, denial of service, right, so they can stop your phone having a service, and geolocation system, so they can track where you are. High-powered cordless phones. Hayden can stimulate handsets to allow direction finding systems such as EB200 or Hydra to ground track, not the rockets. This is HYDRAH, not the Hydra rockets. It doesn't mean it can fire a rocket. Ongoing development will allow Hayden software to be ported onto Project Traveler. So, yeah, this is probably the UK version of the Stingray here. It's made by BAE Systems. This is probably what they use in the UK. Hayden 1 and 2. Stargazer 3. Stargazer is an army system developed to deny, degrade, and or disrupt, right? Well, have we heard that before? GCHQ, right? That's their motto. And this is a military term. So a GCHQ trying to say that we're, you know, a target in the military. Because that's, you know, basically what they're saying. You know, that's how the impression they're giving us. So that's a military term, obviously. So it's a system developed to deny, degrade, and or disrupt a targeted adversary, right? Targeted individual, in other words. Command and control system on the Korea handset via electronic means. Stargazer is able to extract IMSI and IMEI data from the handset. Stargazer is a flexible and expandable special purpose electronic attack SPEA capability designed primarily to target mobile satellite services, communication and downlink paths. So I think this can spoof satellite devices. It operates in 3 different phases. Phase 2, monitor mode. Phase 2, attack mode, identify, capture, and jam one or more handsets while gaining IMSI and blah 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 geolocation data. It's basically finding where you are and also jamming you. Phase 3, impersonate mode. Impersonate actual network with SG-free network, requiring the FRIA handsets in range to register with the impersonated network and transmit their IMSI, IMEI-1, TMS-1 geolocation data. The phones can essentially be brute force or surgically jammed, so it's a jammer too. Sidewinder. Project Sidewinder is a compact, software-defined, ground-based HPCP and GSM geolocation systems. Currently in the development phase with the potential to become the replacement for the Kármán geolocation system. Sidewinder will employ the core technology of the Traveller system with a 4-channel receiver to increase to a 12-channel receiver in the future. This is BAE systems again. HPCP and GSM. So it can be used in aircraft, active, passive. Doesn't say the range, 20 megahertz to 3000 megahertz. Rebus. Direction ground, GSM stimulation device. Replicate space transmitter station to STM headset. So direction finding again. Pretending to be a phone tower. Provides limited capability to isolate targets using a firewall option. Backpack version. Yeah, it says it's a backpack version. Approx ground distance 200 meters. Handset must be on and not engaged in a call. Drains the battery and raises the signal strength. All the same thing the Stingray can do. Radio eye. Radio eye systems are lightweight, man-packable, push-to-talk, radio. Yeah, can provide operators with the capability to monitor PTT activity. I don't know what that is. So whoever a PTT is, that can... Direction finding systems.
Well, Knight, pardon me, man. Is there anything that's said on when they knock your 4G network down to a 3G? And that's how I figured, and I learned that my phone was being hacked by the police locally because they're using the Stingray device. Usually if you have a 4G network that you're paying for monthly through whatever carrier company that you use for your cell phone plan, you know, that's a pretty good, solid connection or signal. You could go online as well to the internet. You got like unlimited, well, depending on the plan you got unlimited internet access to your phone, to your mobile. And when I've noticed that my 4G is not there, it goes to 3G. I learned that it's because they're using the Stingray device actively at that moment, and usually it's the police doing it. So I wanted to ask you if there's anything within the articles you're reading that mentions anything about the 4G going down to 3G as an indicator visually that they're using the Stingray device at that moment.
It doesn't say that, but it does say that it increases the signal strength and it can drain your battery life. But I think the reason it doesn't say that is because these articles, I think, were from like 2006. I don't think 4G existed then.
Okay.
So I think that probably the reason it goes down to 3G is because they're still using the devices from then.
Right.
So that's probably why. But yeah, man, it doesn't. Let me have a look. It says the date. Yeah. Data the 1st of May 2006. So I think 3G was only the thing in existence then. Got you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. You know, that it is 3G, these devices. There may be 4G ones, but they're probably like, oh, you know, it's cheaper to just use the 3G ones. You know, to save them money or whatnot.
Exactly.
So, but this one's called Gajala. It's initially developed for the CIA as GSM direction finder. Locks onto HS, locked onto an interrogation device. Small size allows the operator to use the Gajala and convert low visibility role. So this thing's pretty small. It looks like about the same size as the phone from the picture. Very small looking thing. Costs $4,300. Regular 2. This thing's small too. 6-band GSM CDMA UMTS receiver, capable of detecting, measuring RSSI. Uses either internal antenna or external antenna. Audible alert via Bluetooth or wired earpiece. Channel scan feature stops GSM TCH, detect high and low gain selectable. That's GSM, so all your phones. Yeah, I think this is like a miniaturized short-range version of the Stingray. Basically, it's like a handheld version. So I guess maybe this can pick up a phone, maybe from the block or somewhere, and tell you where it is and whatnot.
Okay.
Quasimodo GSM receiver capable of detecting and measuring RSSI. 10-band radio receiver. GSM, all the same frequencies. Waterproof. Like an MVG readable, which means night vision goggles, so I guess it means you can even see it. External rechargeable battery, 4-6 hours. Bluetooth for external speaker. That's GSM, so that's phones again. Heater, H-E-A-T-R, that not E-R. Hostile emitter angle tracker revised is the primary direction finding DF tool. Locks onto HS, locked onto an interrogation device. Standard heater systems are now with an Android-powered remote for covert operation. Remote allows the user to fully control the heater unit and antenna while being hidden. This is another small device. This is for like close buildings. That's not recommended for release to non-US forces. This is like a miniature kind of tracking device. Phones. Thoracic. Miniature 8-band radio receiver able to detect and measure the signal strength of any channel in upwelling portions. Common cellular communication bands, GSM, UMTS, DMA, and IBM. Radio can be controlled via Bluetooth data link to an applet containing non-select phone, such as a Nokia N95. So I think this thing hooks into a phone. So this can work with a phone. Cyberhawk. The BDR system serves as a small exploitation system for GSM handsets. Cyberhawk exploits over 79 cell phones, uses US-made software and components, and presents a much smaller footprint than cell tech. Exploitation includes phone book, names. Wow. So I think this thing can actually hack into your phone. So this is actually able to not just read your message, this can actually hack into your phone. So exploitation includes phone book, names, SMS, media files, text, deleted SMS. So this can even read your deleted text messages, calendar items, and emails. Wow, and this is called Cyberhawk. Okay, so GSM only, takes 4 to 10 minutes for download. Saved and dialed numbers, missed calls, SMS, data, pictures, calendar, sound files, all consolidated into one. Wow. This thing can basically take everything off your phone, I think. Albright. Portable handheld field-proven forensic system for the quick extraction and analysis of 95% cell phones and smartphones and PDA devices. I think this is more for, basically if they've got your phone. Extracts information such as phone book, pictures, video, text messages, call logs, CSN, IMEI, MSIFTN information. Portable end-to-end solution, battery operated, easy-to-use device that requires no computer or associated phone drivers. Developed for field use, ruggedized, offers additional protection in harsh environments. SIM card extraction and SIM ID cloning. Wow. That's it. That's all of the things in the document. They have a device there that can basically take everything off your phone, like text, deleted text, everything pretty much on your phone. It can extract. That's incredible. Unbelievable, man.
Makes a lot of sense too, man, that they have that ability in their, fingertips like that in this day and age.
Yeah, they can basically take anything off your phone, like pictures, videos, a whole lot, by the sound of it, off with this device. The Stingray can't do that, but this thing called Cyberhawk can. So that basically It's basically the equivalent of phone rape. I'm saying, like, they could take everything off that phone, everything on it, and be took off with this device. No, that's
That would
how
make
they...
sense that they'd be using that sort of technology within this program against empowered individuals / targeted individuals across the world.
Yeah, because if they can get what's on your phone off your phone, they can build a picture on what you like, what your videos are that you like, what your internet history on your phone
Yeah, but build like a profile.
Yeah. I keep seeing that term again, deny, degrade, deceive, disrupt, or whatever it was. That was on the air as well. You know,
Yeah, I heard when you said it, man. I was like, damn, yo, that's crazy. Just coming out and saying this shit, they're pretty much like admitting it right there. That's definitely some GHCQ shit. I remember when you had read that shit up before in another call.
Yeah, man, that's like little MO, man. I don't think it's just GHCQ.
Exactly.
I think it's all these motherfuckers.
Like a motto that they live by. You know, that's their order of operation, like you said, their modus operandi.
Yeah, that's what they try and do to them. I mean, it said like, instead of targeting an individual, it said something else. I can't remember now. But, you know, this is how they were blowing up these terrorists, man. Cause, like, they had these devices that could go under the drones, and they could basically completely locate a phone. You know what I'm saying? So they could, if they had Osama bin Laden's phone number, they could just track him exactly where he was, man. And that's how they probably found where he was with these kind of devices.
Right.
But I'm not even 100%.
Hey, man, we already went into the 3-hour mark. I'm not sure if you're done reading the articles.
Oh yeah, the article's done. Yeah. That's all.
Okay. At this point, man, if you wouldn't mind documenting your targeting, unless you already did that earlier, I didn't hear it.
Oh yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Okay, bet. So what I want to do now, man, is thank you. You know what I'm saying, for the articles you read. Those shits were fire, man. For real. I'm sure the listeners would agree. What I'm going to ask of you, if you're not feeling too sleepy at this point, to send me the links to them, if you can now, so I could put them up on the description box after this call uploads. If you're too sleepy, you just want to go to sleep, brother, I understand. Don't worry about it. Just make sure, if you can, man, to send them to me in the morning at some point early, so I could manage to put them in there.
All right, no problem.
Yeah, man. Another thing I wanted to acknowledge was you had said earlier about me being correct about them hitting you with a frequency. You know, Knight, you and I both know how this program works in regards to that technology, because we're experiencing how they're using it on us for many, many years. Well, I'm saying many, many years with me because I had no idea of that I was still asleep. Until I came to the awareness of the existence of this technology, was I able to put 2 and 2 together, look back at my life while I was processing certain things, and made sense out of it with this technology. You know, when I was hearing you in the state that you were in, I knew that wasn't you, man, because you're usually pretty sharp. You know what I'm saying? So when you get like that, it's either that the sleepiness has come to, pretty much put you in that mode to want to go to sleep. And I already know the time frame you get sleepy on. And it was nowhere near that time frame yet at that point. So that's how I was able to recognize that.
Something. I just felt really, like my head was foggy, like really cloudy, and I was struggling to think clearly.
Right.
Basically what was happening.
Yeah, man. That technology can do that. That and more. That's the scary part about that shit, man. That it can do a lot more than just that. You know?
Yeah.
People need to... I'm saying all that to say this to the listeners and people who would listen to this upon playback. You know, people need to do their research, like Nigel has said earlier, like I've said, like Knight has said, Nappy, he also has mentioned that too. This is very important, man, that people get educated on this stuff, man, because it's out there and it's being experimented on targeted individuals to eventually impose on the mass public. We like the mold for the test. In other words, we're like the test run. You know what I mean? For all of that stuff. They use us as the mold because we're like, you know, we have leadership qualities, where we have integrity, you know, we have like a positive influence on our, you know, society as far as what we weren't aware of this stuff. They know who we were before we know, you know what I'm saying, before we learned who we are, you know what I mean? So they had to zero in on that shit. Because the type of creativity that entails a TI, the determination, the intelligence, you know, the fearlessness, all that stuff, man, goes against what they're doing. You know what I mean? So they have to try to neutralize it quick, because if not, they know that it could become a ripple effect and throw a huge monkey wrench in their program. That's why they have to do what they got to do to us to keep us contained. But as y'all can see and hear, it hasn't really been that successful in that department with this squad here, because we continue to persevere, put out information, and educate as much as we can, and also expose what these people have done, are doing, and will continue to do. We're going to be on top of that. Believe that.
Are they setting off fire?
All that being said, man, I'd like to thank Nappy Head Roots, Nigel Nicholson, Night of Thunder, and the loyal listeners that have been with us since pretty much the 6-month mark when this call was taken off. We'll be back with another one next weekend. Stay strong, everybody. Night. You have a good night, brother, and a good week up ahead as much as you possibly can. Sleep well. And you already know, man, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, if you want to holler at me tomorrow after 10:30 your time, you're more than welcome to.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll send those articles as well tonight.
Man, I appreciate that, seriously, because it would be dope to just get that all up there in one shot.
Yeah, man, there's a little hot.
All right, yo, man, if you got anything else you want to add on, man, before I shut the call down, man, you're more than welcome to it.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, were they playing sirens then? I thought I could hear them.
Yeah, they did. On and off throughout the call. Yeah.
They're not happy then?
No, but you know how that goes. You already know.
It makes me laugh when they do.
Oh, yeah. It's a confirmation of their frustration. Right.
Yeah.
We just got to keep doing that. That's all. Whatever they don't like, we got to keep doing more of it. Pretty much what I've came down to as far as my own outlook on it. Well, that all being said, again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight. It's a good call. It's a solid call. And we'll be back with another one next weekend. This is RTTI in New York City, signing out.
Fuck a solid revolution, nigga, this is a bloodbath. I will throw my commandments down on your platinum calf. You get your face slashed like a Rikers Island reminder. Behind your snipers and find you, whether you run run to China and try to crawl the fuck back in your mother's vagina. I need a fucking co-signer to murder gangster underground niggas like coal miners. Bring it back, paying homage to the old timers. I was bred as a cannibal, blow stickers and pictures of people fucking animals. Like a car crash, ripped in half, neck to the crotch. Motherfuckers scared to stare, but they secretly watch. You niggas wanna play Shaitan? Well, let's get it on. I fire missiles like the fucking shit that hit the Pentagon. You not strong enough to do a song with me, I'm the truth. Like Tina Turner, motherfucker, you'll get raped in a booth. Nigga, remember, I'll slice you and squeeze lemon on the place that I chop you. Call me to the tune of Mozart's Masonic opera. Nigga, statue of Bruce Lee is the teacher that taught me. I spit a toothpick through the heart of a bird in a tree. I charge your feet. I don't murder motherfuckers for free. And like a person with AIDS, you'll regret fucking with me. I'll vomit blood in your face as a source of wars and make strings for a fucking guitar with your vocal cords. Colossus next to Africa, shoulder to shoulder. Let it fire on devils like Cubans in Angola. Not even the southern polar is colder. And zero Kelvin decrees that'll freeze you over. My soldier's soul is older than Chichen Itza. But this Glock that I stole from my cops will be happy to meet you. In the 21st century state that was meant to be. This is a global Attica, cause the planet's a penitentiary. Remember that revolution is destiny. Toasted with Hennessy. Open your enemy's mind like China Kennedy. Your favorite rapper. He might make more cheddar than me, but I'll have to die to be considered better than me. Diamonds are ripped for the earth, right next to the slave castles where the water is cursed. From where police brutality's not half as nice, it makes the hood in America look like paradise. Compared to the AIDS-infested Caribbean slum, African streets with a passport and American gun. I'm from where they massacre people and try to keep it quiet, and spend the next 25 years trying to deny it. I'm from where they chop your hands off if you make a fist, and niggas don't conquer cause the job market doesn't exist, except slave labor, modern day company store, and peacekeepers don't ever come here no more. I'm from where the bombs that they used to drop on Vietnam still has children born deformed 8 months before they're gone. I'm from where they lost the true meaning of the Quran, cause heroin is not compatible with Islam, and niggas know that. They grow that poppy seed anyway, cause that food drop parachute does not come every day. I'm from where people pray to the gods of their conquerors, and practically every president's a money launderer. From where the only place democracy's acceptable is if America's candidate is electable. And they might even have a black or brown president, but he's useless, cause he does not control the economy, stupid. Lock your gun where I'm from, the third world, son. I just thought I'd remind y'all, I'm from where the Catholic Church is some racist shit. They helped Europe and America rape this bitch. Israel, white Spanish Caesars, whose face is this? But never spoke about the black populations. I'm from where Soviet weapons still decide elections. Militaries like the mafia, you pay for protection. Catamite sex tours is what the country sells, and rich white businessmen make their best clientele. I'm from where they too pussy to come film Survivor, and they murder Coca-Cola union organizers. I'm from where the justice system is stop podrido. Fuck back the government, niggas politic over perico. Rebelde conocido, enterrado vivo, como otro argentino desaparecido. The Rico laws gonna apply to the CIA, and motherfuckers make sneakers for a quarter a day. I'm from where they overthrow democratic leaders, not for the people, but for the Wall Street Journal readers. Nos compraron el alma barata, hasta la sangre nos sacan. Lo hicieron con rap y ahora reggaetón y bachata. Pero primero me matan, olvídate de huelga. Armado, me voy para la selva, mejor que desaparecido y muerto, enterrado de debajo de un aeropuerto. And if you think that's conspiracy hysteria, acuérdate of the School of Americas y pregúntate quién mueve más cocaína, la guerrilla o los militares con la CIA. Que no dan trabajo, tratan a la gente latina como esclavos and kickback money to latinos presidentes, fake motherfuckers que hablan inocentes, putos de cáncer que comen a gente. Es hora de revolución nuevamente. Make some fucking noise.